In the White House, President Eisenhower signs the proclamation that makes Alaska's entry into the Union official, nearly 92 years after Lincoln's Secretary of State bought the territory from the Russian Tsar for $7 million.
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit acminc.com today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and over. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They're the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located on 4th Avenue across from the old 4th Avenue Theater. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. From reindeer dogs to bomb euros, they've got you covered. Anchortown Dogs, your local gourmet hot dog and sausage cart.
Crude Magazine, Alaska-based media outlet using the last frontier as a springboard to discover larger truths about the cultures of our great state. Read more at crudemag.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Lady with a Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings. Find Lady with a Plan on Instagram.
We're live, boys.
Yeah.
We're live. There you go. Welcome to Alaska Wild Project episode number 65. Oh, the caribou call.
Yeah, man. I was like, what are you doing over there, dude?
Man, too much sun. Already complaining about the heat.
I can tell Brad and Dave do not listen.
No, they weren't ready for the caribou call.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah,
have you ever heard of a caribou call?
No, but I need to now.
Apparently, it does call in caribou.
It does. So you know how the little white flag thing works?
Mm-hmm.
So does when you open up a cider.
Okay.
It brings them right in. You want to bring that a little bit closer. You want to be about 3 inches. And this thing will go anywhere you want it to go, so don't feel like you got to lean forward.
And it will hang up in that luscious beard, so be careful.
Deal.
That is a luscious beard, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm
I
kind of
appreciate
like,
it, man.
kind of jealous, man. He's got like the full
This
got
was
some length on that thing.
It was like my only retirement gift to myself when I left the military. It was like, now I don't have to shave every single day of my adult life, so I'm not going to throw the razor away. It was immediate. Yeah.
Is that like common? I mean, because I see lots of retired or ex-military dudes with bodacious beards.
You know how it is, man. Anytime somebody tells you you can't do something, it was just like the
Yeah,
like
because
the
you got
trip,
long
right?
hair too.
Right.
You're like letting it rip.
Yeah, dude. Scissors gone. There's not a pair in the house. Razors are gone. I mean, just get rid of all of it.
Nice. Yeah. Don't need to do that shit no more.
Right. Unless somebody told me that if they said you can't shave, I would probably have no hair on my body tomorrow.
Yeah. It's full wax.
You want to see something? Brad, you were going to say something. What were you going to?
I was just going to ask him if he uses the Just for Men to get that salt and pepper look in
Dude,
there.
the touch of gray?
Yeah.
No, it's all natural.
That's all natural.
All
You can
natural.
tell, man.
Yeah.
You can
I
tell.
have 3 daughters, so
Hey,
I
man,
earned
me too.
every gray hair. Yeah.
Nice, man. How old are your kids?
So the joke in the house is that we had 1 per duty station. So I have a freshman at UAA. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's my oldest. And then our middle daughter is just about to finish up 5th grade.
Okay.
And then our youngest one will be in kindergarten next year. So,
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
So quite a gap there between the first and all right.
so like some of them, it depends on what day it is. Some of them make you old. Some of them keep you young at heart. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
No breaks. No breaks.
Man, I think the first guest that we've had that was able to match me in daughter number.
yeah.
Yeah. I was
Girl dad?
Girl dad, yeah.
Girl dad.
3 of them too, yeah.
Nice.
Right on, man. Cool.
How old are yours?
Share a pain. 13, almost 14, so 13, 8, and 3.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of a little spread there between the oldest and the 2 young ones. Yeah, yeah, dude, it's this weekend they made me feel old. That's for sure. It's been a rat race with them, man.
Yeah.
But I love every minute of it.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, being a dad of girls is like, it's interesting because I think it really kind of pushes you to think about things completely different, you know? Well, you know, a lot of my friends that have little boys and it's like a different thing. They like pick up information differently. You talk to them different and, you know, girls just like you to stop, slow down, like really think about what you're doing. And yeah,
That's a great point. Yeah. Boys are like 0 to 100 and girls like to like think about it and ease into that and, you know, compartmentalize a little bit more. And, you know, boys are just like, I'm not even going to think. I'm just going in.
Well, and then like
Think about it later.
right? But then what they see you do too, because all those little boys want to grow up and be like their dad, right?
Yeah.
So you're modeling a behavior of like what you want, your son to turn out as, and then little girls are gonna probably go looking for someone like their dad. So like you're really intentional about your behavior. You know, like
That's a great
I
point.
need to be the dude that I want my daughter to invite over to dinner someday. So
Yep.
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think about like, so my daughter has her first boyfriend, who I guess he's like moving away here in a little bit, so it's a short thing. But there will be others, I'm sure.
There'll be tears too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I asked her that. I said, "Are you going to be busted up about that?" She's like, "I'll get over it." It's like, that was a really good answer. Kind of like that was easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess he doesn't really wasn't too excited about meeting me. So I'm like, well, that's cool, man. Whatever, you know. And yeah, I'm just thinking about like what a kid will think of me when he meets me. So I'm like, you know, am I insecure about this right now? Like, am I going to act like myself, or am I going to act like this dude that I'm not? Like, you know, and I'm like, I'll just be myself, and definitely would never want to scare a kid or any of that, you know, here's my shotgun, boy, I shine it up every night, you know, all that stupid shit. But
No, that's real, man, because I thought about the same thing. Like, you want to be, like, you don't want to seem like somebody that, you know, is a pushover.
yeah.
You know, but at the same time, you want to be approachable enough to, you could actually get to know somebody that's going to spend time around your kids. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like this weird nuanced balance of like, how do I interact with somebody else's kid, and
Sure.
start thinking about like, well, how were they raised? What was their environment like? I mean, it's
Totally.
a lot of stuff going on there for sure.
A lot of dynamics to dissect.
Yeah. I'm glad I got boys.
Yeah. It's going to be a challenge for sure.
My youngest just comes home. He's 8 and he's already come home with like 3 phone numbers from girls. He's like, "Here, Mom, I don't know what to do with this. I don't even have a phone."
Is he like, "Hey, my guy, I got another number"?
Yeah, my guy. Yeah, he started calling me my guy.
Just put that in the Rolodex.
That's right. Save that for later.
Got another one, Poppy. Yeah, he'll get invited to like all the girls' birthday party. He'll be the only boy. It's just funny.
Yep.
Could be a problem coming up.
Yep.
We have Dave May and Brad Hurd here from BHA, Backcountry Hunters and Anglers of Alaska. As I was doing a bunch of research, I realized that every single state except 2 have a
Chapter.
chapter.
Right.
Is that correct?
It is, yeah.
Was it Delaware and Hawaii? Last I looked.
Yeah, and I think that both of those are like in the works, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
So
Well, Delaware's tiny.
right.
Hawaii is tiny but spread. But the land in Hawaii is tough because there's not like tons of public land.
When you look at the user base, right, and being
Right.
a public land advocacy group, there has to be, something to advocate for. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was just talking to a fishing guide. I was down in Maui in February or March. Avid hunter. Basically, his deal is he gets permission to hunt an area, and he said the public access areas are really tough. Tons of competition. A lot of not so generous, cordial interactions with other hunters, apparently. They do deer and pigs, but, he's kind of got that in. And so he made it sound like that's what it had to be to hunt good areas and, get a good harvest. And the whole thing is to kind of have like that guy, I know a guy, or he lets me on his land, or I think it's kind of common, like in lots of areas in the country with farms and things of that nature. But, I kind of thought it was a little bit different. Because I wonder, I was like, man, could you just like drive down the road and find some public land, throw a pack and a gun and like go in and do it? He's like, yeah, it's not that easy. I said, no, I would have thought different.
yeah, for sure. And you're spot on too with I lived in the Midwest for a long time. It is the same thing. I mean,
Sure.
there's public land, but the competition is so high, and you just kind of get driven further and further away, and and that's what BHA is kind of founded around, is making people aware of what is there, because a lot of it gets overlooked too, and that's a huge
Sure.
thing. If it gets overlooked and it doesn't get used, if it doesn't get used, then it doesn't have value, because the value is like intrinsically linked to the user group specifically.
Right.
Advocating for public lands through making people aware of what's out there and what your resources are, that's a huge part of what BHA does.
Yeah.
It was I just saw an online article or whatever about those guys. I guess they didn't get prosecuted. They went like corner to corner or something like that.
Oh, the corner hopping deal.
Yeah, the corner hopping deal, and that the judge let them go. That it was all good. Do you know much about that story?
I don't know as much about the story as I understand the concept of corner hopping, and kind of like how big of a problem that is when you get into like the the east side of the Rocky Mountain West, so looking at Wyoming, Montana, places like that where everything is checkerboarded. That stuff is checkerboarded because of how it was divvied up as the railroad system was put into place, to bring investors in and different things like that. So, like I have buddies in Montana that, they're constantly calling me like, dude, you don't know how good you have it up there, man. Like, it sucks down here. All the elk are in that field or in that section of whatever. I'm on BLM looking at elk on BLM and I can't get to them, It's crazy.
That's got to sting.
For sure. Yeah.
Especially when there's like a bona fide shooter over there. And you're helpless.
It's funny now because when I look at leaving Alaska to go hunt in the lower 48, I'm looking at stuff that's like in your face public land stuff. So I had a trip and COVID kind of blew a hole in this one to the Durfee Hills area. don't know if you guys are familiar with that. But
Durfee Hills. I've read that in the Eastman's.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Eastman's Hunting Journal.
Not the journal, but they do like an annual.
Oh, when they do like their
blue
probability
chip.
odds.
Yeah, like they do that like blue, yellow, green chip like ranking for like trophy, and like they break down these areas. It's like a supplement.
Yeah, they show you the draw odds in each area.
Yeah. You spend like $200 on this thing, and it like breaks it all down for you.
Yeah,
but interesting stuff. I didn't realize what all went into all that point system and all that stuff.
It's wild.
Yeah, it turned me off, dude.
For sure.
I was like, what the hell, man? Like, you just can't go and throw in your name in a hat.
Yep.
I was like, but anyway, you were talking about you're blown up.
Oh, so
where is that at?
The Durfee Hills?
Yeah.
Where's that?
That's in Montana.
In Montana, okay.
Yeah. So essentially what it is it's a completely gridlocked section of public land that was bought up by a family and basically cut the access off to it. So it was on a BHA like high priority list for a long time. But stuff like that is, if people aren't doing it and making a point to do it, again, you just kind of, you lose sight, and that bullseye gets smaller and smaller, and you get farther away from it, and then people stop aiming at it, and before you know it, no target acquisition, Yeah,
that kind of leads me into
off.
I was reading up on the Houses Act thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know much about that?
I don't know.
Have you heard about that?
No.
Basically, they are all this public lands. They're deciding like, oh, we can build here, because there's no one really using it. It might be things like that where there's housing all around it, but this is considered public lands, and so they're like, well, we can make money off this, and if people don't speak up for the use of it, then they're just gonna like put it up for sale.
Yep.
So there's like they're trying to fight that, I guess, and I think it's called the Houses Act. And I don't know if the Houses Act is like for housing or if it's for, not housing.
Yeah.
Right.
So
The Housing Act?
Houses Act, it's called. I think it's pretty new. But I just was like, as I was reading up for the show, I was like, thought maybe you guys didn't know about that.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. It's definitely something to take a look at because I haven't seen anything on that. There's when you look at the stuff that like BHA is up against, this is probably stuff you're going to get to anyway. But looking at like West Susitna access, I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Looking at changing statuses to different things, and making a lot of what happens with public lands when they get eradicated is not like a rip of the Band-Aid. It's this slow progressive process where a status changes to a certain recreational area. And then once that status changes, it doesn't create a full-on barrier to access, but it makes it difficult to access stuff. And then you come back to the same thing we were just talking about. When you restrict things, you make it, you make the user group smaller. And then as that user group, shrinks, so does the, the engagement with that area and the use. And before you know it, it gets to some points where there's not even people that are willing to, to put up a fight for it. So,
yeah.
Well, and then it becomes it gets completely absorbed by some other entity that then restricts the access, and then it's like, ooh, we didn't know how good we had it, and now we can't access it.
Now it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of reminds me of
Sad, man.
my brother-in-law. He was trying to go to Campbell Lake. And
I love this. Like, anything Campbell Lake.
and he got so mad that he couldn't access the lake, to go out there. And that little access part that they have, I don't know exactly where it's at, but he's like, then there's some old guy like barking at us that you can't park there, you can't go through the lake because it's like between his house and another guy's house. But they're like, they're blocking people from using that lake, which is a public lake. But it just reminds me of the topic we're on, where everything is utilized around the land or the lake, and you have no way to access it. So you know what he did? He went out and made a bunch of bumper stickers and put decolonize Campbell Lake. So if you see those stickers from my brother-in-law, he's like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put these and put them in as many Subarus I can find, and
That's awesome.
put it up at Beartooth on the little thing, and like everywhere there's a bunch of stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because all those.
So tell them to like just just helicopter in there and then do nothing but fly fishing on Campbell Lake for the film festival or something like that.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of visibility.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
It's a public lake.
He's totally right, because there actually is a public access easement to get to that lake, but it was used so infrequently by the public that those who live around it were able to just kind of like spread their elbows, and eventually convince people that that's not a public easement anymore. And so then when people go there and they're like, hey, I thought this was a public easement, and then they get challenged by the homeowner who says, no, it's not, when it really is. Like, nobody wants to get in legal trouble, especially with somebody, I think we're all under the understanding that those around Campbell Lake have a decent amount of money and probably can afford better lawyers than we can.
No doubt.
Like, I don't want to go into a legal challenge with someone who lives down there. So it's pretty easy to get turned around.
Yeah, or is a lawyer themselves, or
yeah, exactly.
Well, and the confrontation's just so uncomfortable. You're like, you have this mindset, I'm prepared to go do this activity, and it's going to be fun and pure, and it's Alaska, and I'm going to get here, and you got this scruffy, old man or woman or whoever barking at you, and it's just going to take the wind right out of your sail.
Yeah.
So now you're going to have this pissing match, and be like, I'm fucking going in there anyway, which you can.
Right.
And plow in there and just, have the guy watching you with binoculars or just barking at you. I mean, it just takes away from the fun of the public use of the water, right? Or whatever it is. It's like, I think you quickly get turned around by the confrontation of dealing with people.
Yeah.
People are territorial, man.
Yep.
I mean, you guys know it best.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
that also leads me to remind me. I was out ice fishing at Sand Lake, and this guy, there's this really good section that I like to go to, and this from one week to the next, the guy like plowed it and put like a hockey rink there, and I'm like, well, I can't put a hole here now. Like, these kids are going to be skating, but it just got me thinking, like, okay, so he doesn't own the water. It's the right thing to do to not just go punch a hole right there in the middle of the guy's lake. But I was like, I probably could, but you want to avoid the confrontation, so you end up just trying to go somewhere else. Or this guy just like pretty much decided he owns, 400 whatever feet of the lake.
Staked his claim.
Yeah, just staked his claim.
Yeah.
Dude, and what's weird about stuff like that is that, like, you have different user groups for public access, right? So then, like, the thing that, like, we deal with BHA with a lot is, like, the difference between public access for recreation and then public access for hunting and fishing, right? And then, and there's really not a distinction between the two, but people implying one. But it goes to that point, like, if the lake is public, it might be inconvenient to have a hockey rink there, right? But it's like, it's public for people that like to ice skate just as much as it is people like to ice fish.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's maybe not like the best example, because at the end of the day, like, he left his hockey rink there and you were going to take your ice fishing hut home with you, I'd imagine, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're leaving it ready for, that next public land owner to come and recreate on the way that they see fit.
Yeah.
But, we see that a lot, where it's people are like, I'm a hiker and I like to hike, and this is a hiking trailhead. So there should just be hikers here. And then you go park next to that Subaru and pull out your 12 gauge to go shoot a couple ptarmigan, and you're a bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and really, like, the ability to advocate for that land to stay public and for everybody to be able to use it is for, like, both of those user groups to join together and have a louder, bigger, united voice. And a lot of times it just becomes, divisive. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head, where public means for everyone.
Right.
And a lot of times I had a buddy of ours, his unfortunately, he was out cross country skiing, and his dog ran off and it got caught in a trap. And the trap was in a legal spot. It was however many yards or feet it was from the main trail or whatever. And so there was a big hoopla about that, and as I was talking to him, and he had the right, he was upset, of course, about his dog. But he understood that, this is just as much their area, the trappers as well, as it is, cross-country skiing or whatever, whoever's going back wherever they were. But it was a huge, like when you read the comments, when you put it up on Facebook, it was insane amount of comments, like leaning both ways.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, obviously there's sadness for the dog loss, but, people both ways saying, well, he has just as much the right to go out there and set his traps legally as you do to go cross-country skiing or whatever he was doing.
Yeah, that one's a tough one too, because the times have changed, right? Like the number of trappers has gone down and the number of active users in other user groups has gone up. And I think that's just that's a perfect example of why things need to progress together out of all the user groups, because that complete disconnect and misunderstanding leads to disasters like that, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What about like increasing awareness for someone that's new going to hike a trail or ski a trail or bike a trail? I haven't noticed many signs or anything that says, hey, this is also used for trapping or whatnot, or bird hunting or whatever, so like be aware. I don't know if that's a solution, but at least someone can be aware, like, hey, you're supposed to have your dog on a leash anyway on those trails, which is kind of like, you're out there in the middle of nowhere. You can let your dog loose.
Yep.
Right.
But you should know, at least there should be some sort of signage or something to say, hey, these things happen.
You could even argue, regardless of whether you're a hiker just with your dog off leash or if you're bird hunting with your bird dog, it could be the same scenario. And I fully agree that, having some sort of mutual understanding of the area that you're in and the signage, I think, is fantastic. And it's kind of a newer problem, I think, because of what I said before. There's a larger user group using an area that traditionally has been used, or maybe not traditionally, but for a very long time
Historically, was
used for something else. And you don't want to demonize one side or the other in any way, shape, or form, but like that's where the communication comes in. It's so important.
Do they have that on any of the like apps, like the All Trails or any? Does it designate multi-use?
I've never seen that specifically on All Trails, but I'll tell you, if you go to Ptarmigan Valley, that sign exists. Exactly what you're talking about. It shows like a placard for everything. I like that's one, especially because it also shows a Sasquatch on there.
Oh, okay.
I've never noticed
Watch
that.
out for that guy.
Yeah. And I didn't know if that meant like you could hunt Sasquatch or you could just hang out with them or like what that implied. But
There's a sighting.
Imagine finding that guy stuck in a trap.
Dude, yeah.
I know. Huh?
Probably
leave him in the trap.
Yeah.
But so the idea is there. Just I think that's a great point. Making that like a standard everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. For
First
all
time
those main trails, that just be aware that anything could be happening out there, and even for we did a show with Dustin from the Bait Shack. He does the Jewel Lake Jamboree. There for the ice fishing thing, and we had some of the fish and game people come on. I can't remember her name. Just super smart, super intelligent.
Julie?
Yeah, maybe Julie.
Just seems right.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, Julie, if it's not your name. They're supposed to be coming back on, but I asked her the question, and it's kind of the similar deal. My buddy owns the little snack shack ice cream thing at Westchester Lagoon over there, and he keeps a couple fishing rods there for his kids, and my kid's super into fishing for trout, and obviously there's no salmon fishing there, and that's clearly posted that there's no salmon fishing, but the kids like have to hide to like try to go fish for trout because they'll just get yelled at like by people that live there or people that are riding their bikes, and just like there's no fish. People can't tell if you're fishing for or people that don't know,
Right.
That you could do that there. And she seemed pretty hesitant to confirm that was okay, because they probably don't want it to be like blown up that, hey, well, now that we're talking to it on the podcast here, a bunch of people down there fishing for trout.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no fishing there.
Well, and I'll actually use that to go back to the trapping thing, and I think that's potentially one reason that even, and I'm speculating completely here, but if I were a trapper, I also potentially wouldn't want signage everywhere to say like this is a trapping area, because that also is limiting my my potential for trapping the animals that I want to trap. If more it might attract more trappers, you know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's very possible that there would be resistance from the trapping side too, just for we don't like to give up our spots, you know.
Yeah,
No way.
I didn't think about that.
Which is funny because that's like another BHA thing too. That's, you know, maybe not a BHA thing, but like a thing that like that we deal with. You know, when we talk about advocating for public lands, as you advocate for public lands, you create awareness for public lands. As you create awareness, the user group goes, and then you have competition. So I think, like, generally speaking, within, you know, the heart of like every outdoorsman, like there's this place there that is like, no, that public land is mine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my
Territorial
secret spot
instinct.
for sure. I peed there. Like that's my spot.
Yep. Marked my territory.
But it's that long range vision, I think, that the trapper in Brad's scenario has to take, or like, you know, anybody that wears the public land brand, whether you're a BHA member or just like a dude who goes hunting and fishing all the time, you got to look like down the road at, do I want there to be people doing this in that spot 50 years from now, 100 years from now? Like, you know, that we're talking about having daughters, like, do I want, like, kid grew up hunting and fishing at my dinner table someday? You know, yeah, for sure. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of brings up the recreation river management plan, or that's the name of it, right?
Yeah.
But the you know, that was why it was established, because they, like, these rivers started getting used, like tourism blew up and all of that, you know, and the whoever, you know, the entities that be recognized that like places was getting trashed, you know.
Yeah.
And so then this management plan was put into place in 91, I think.
Yep.
And it was purely for that reason, like, okay, we now have a larger user group. We need to figure out how to keep this place like clean and yeah, like not just getting trashed like the Kenai Beach after dip netting, you know. And
oh shit.
And so it got that exactly like that stuff. With exposing those areas comes an influx of users, which is good, but only if those users actually respect the area and like, and it's shared. It's not claimed.
Yeah, people look at like social responsibility as like a business virtue, right? I mean, you're trying to, you know, grow a business brand by taking care of, you know, certain aspects of the environment or people or whatever. But you know, I think that there's like definitely an element of social responsibility when it comes to like hunting and fishing, especially for like the industry specifically. And a lot of it, what it comes down to is either education or, you know, maybe even like lack of education or lack of awareness, like of what your actions really mean for an area, like the Kenai Beach. Like, dude, like every single year I like dread it. I was like about to delete Facebook because like I don't want to see the dumpster, you know, overflowing. And then all the condemning, and then now you got two people that love the fish, right? This would be the thing that like ties these people together, right? And but then you end up fighting over trash.
Yep.
And now we can't agree enough to like, you know, to come up with a solution. So now the problem remains the focus, and the solution never becomes like even a point of discussion. It just gets washed
out.
Yep. She's gone.
Yeah. That's a great point, man. I never thought of it that way.
It's weird.
There's no energy spent whatsoever on a collective group to come together with a solution for the clear, obvious problem that we want to fight and point fingers and this fucking guy and that guy and like,
dude, even a crappy solution.
Yeah, just anything on the table is better than like, everybody just bickering on like, Facebook over it.
Right, like raise your hand if you drove a truck to Kenai Beach. Like raise your hand if you drove home with the truck bed empty. You know, like this is not a permanent solution, but maybe for now we put our money where our mouth is, and we, you know, everybody put some latex gloves on, man, throw 4 or 5 bags of trash in your truck and take it back, and you know, you pay the $40 at the, you know, the Anchorage landfill, or shoot, I mean, get some kids involved. Let's break this stuff down and separate it and do some recycling. I don't want to get like too far, like too hippie-ish, but yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, like most of those people.
There you go, Brad.
There it is. You even got a juicy one, dude.
Yeah.
Caregivers coming, they're on their way.
You redeemed
rhubarb.
yourself, sir. You
Thank
redeemed yourself.
Well, I've been noticing a lot
Consider
more
the
of
adults table again.
There you go.
big boys table.
Welcome back, sir.
A lot of river cleanup days and area cleanup things, and I feel like that's more pertinent and it's more out there now than ever before. We just got hit up the other day from some boys. I don't know if you heard of the Young Guides podcast. They do some stuff, and they hit us up for some merch for, they're doing a cleanup of a river down there, and we're always down to throw down with stuff like that. And and they just had the Ship Creek cleanup down there, and
I think
all
it's
those little
weekend,
things. It was this past weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, big turnout.
This past week, yep.
So all those little things, I don't know if it's just because I'm looking for it more, or it's actually happening more these days than it has in the past.
Well, I'd say so. If like that's great stuff, and it's good to see those things happening. And if you are like listening to this, you're probably in Alaska. Most of the listeners are in Alaska. So I just want to brag a little bit on like Alaska outdoors people, not to the point where if you're listening to this, you should feel like there's nothing that you can do or not to lean in. But I live, most of my adult life in the lower 48 before moving up here 5 years ago. And BHA does these things called public land packouts. And it's crazy to follow on social media what BHA members are walking in with like empty packs and coming out of the woods with. And then we go do one here and we get 20 members together and go to like a highly used public access trailhead in Anchorage and like can't fill up 2 trash bags.
Yeah,
we
just had one to last week at McGew, which is like everybody goes to McGew.
Man, 100 people a day. Yeah, all day. Yeah.
And we at the end of the day, I think there were only maybe 7 people picking up trash, but like we were there for 2 hours and we didn't even fill up 2 full trash bags. Like it was. Most of it was along the highway that was probably in the snowbank, along in the ditch or whatever, and that had melted off since the last person took the initiative to clean it up. So I agree. Like, I do think that in general, a lot of the more popular trailheads are really well taken care of.
Yeah, for sure. And it's refreshing to see too, because you expect to go out there and like, dude, this is going to break my heart. By the end of the day, there's going to be like 900 bags of trash. And I mean, I think when we did Flat Top last year, we found like one cache where a bunch of high school kids were probably drinking beer, like hiding from their parents. Yeah, and that was like the biggest haul of the day.
Guilty.
He's been there for 10 years.
You found it. Yeah, I hike that all the time, and you're right. You never see trash.
It's
ever.
Pretty awesome.
Ever. Yep. I mean, I don't myself bring anything to like eat most of the time. I'm just like running up and down, but yeah, you guys are right. I guess. I don't know if naive is the right word, but I'm like, I didn't even think, like, I just assume people don't trash the trails, man. Like, I think that's just like Alaska code.
I think so. Yeah.
You just don't, you don't leave trash anywhere. I mean, yeah, we see it in like the median ditch on the Glen Highway, and you see how like, we got the dump over there in the North Eagle River and it blows around. But I mean, like, you don't see all the back trails and up in Abbott and all those trail systems. I mean, you just don't see trash. And I use them all the time, but I never thought about how clean they are. I guess I just take it for granted that we're just people just don't do that shit.
What about teepee?
Oh.
Are you gonna talk about surface pooping, man?
Yeah, man. Story. It is
surface pooping.
Yeah,
I've never heard it termed that way.
It's in the dictionary.
Just don't do it. Yeah, Webster, I think, recognized it in 2019.
I'm writing that down, man. Surface pooping.
Well, I noticed because we do a lot of family trips on the Upper Kenai, and
surface pooping.
I don't know if you guys do much floating up there on the upper. But for forever it was like a free for all on where you can camp. You can camp anywhere, and I want to say like 5 years ago they made designated campsites, which at first I was like, what is this bullshit? Now they have this metal post with like a number on there on this pristine river. That's like, okay, well, you know, that takes away from the nature of slick when you have this post here. And eventually, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, eventually what? Is it going to become like every other spot where you got to book it 6 months in advance on rec.gov in order to get a spot on the Kenai? Like, that's crazy. But then you walk into the woods and you just see toilet fucking paper everywhere. And you're like, okay, this is probably the reason why this is leaning and going towards that way, so that they can create some sort of better management for that. Just as they have in like the Golcana, and some of these other scenic rivers where, you know, you have to go in and take everything out, just like we were talking before. We talked on the Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like
Great memory.
Yeah, you got the poop boat.
yeah, you
Right?
got the poop boat.
Oh yeah, you got the poop boat.
Can't
Yep.
forget that, man.
Yeah, so
Poop
the
boat and
surface
Shiwi.
pooping, man, that's a thing. That's like, what's the solution?
It's an unfortunate thing.
I mean-
don't know that there is one. Man.
I mean, I think it's what we talked about actually before we started recording. You know, you're taking these kids out and you're taking them into these places they've never gone, and you're showing them these opportunities with hiking and hunting and fishing. I'm not exactly sure everything you do with those kids, but one of those places to like seat that foundation is to instill it when somebody's super young and be like, this is okay, this is not okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty black and white at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It just comes down to, honestly, I think overall, people who really are excited to get outside, but they don't even understand the impact that they're having.
Yeah.
You know, and something like surface pooping is.
Can you say that
I mean-
without chuckling? Is it possible?
No, you can't. You absolutely cannot. I'm just going to use that as an icebreaker when like things get really tense.
What's your position?
Just
on
drop
surface
it.
pooping?
But yeah, I think that just legitimately being like, okay, have you pooped on top of the ground before? Well, that's not right. And like, it's not acceptable, but like, here's the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't have to have like a trowel, and you don't have to carry in the army pack of stuff. You know, you find a stick and you get away from the water and you dig a hole and you do your thing and then you bury it.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
And like, sure, if you really want to go by like the leave no trace principles, it's a lot more. I'm pretty sure they have like an outline of how you poop in the backcountry, but like as long as you are taking those efforts, at least you're going
Yep.
to not have it on the surface, to where a whole family goes to set up a tent and it's like, ooh, this is a latrine.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
That ain't
Yeah.
good.
Dude, I'll even give like a public service announcement or like an incentive. So last year I was sheep hunting in the Wrangles, and I mean I had the same experience as most people out there. You know, you're just like very few sheep, taking your rifle for a walk, doing a lot of hiking. So we're like
Yep. Looking at rocks.
day 8 or day 9, and
Such a beautiful rock over
That
there.
rock.
yeah.
Staring at that thing for 12 hours. Sheep's going to come out of there, I swear.
Yep, for sure. You become the manifest one. And I wake up early and I go to below surface poop, and I like spend a little bit more
Whoa,
time.
hold on. I'm going to write
Yeah,
that
dude.
one down.
That's
Below
a
surface poop.
Technical term.
You could probably, it's scientific, it really is.
BSP. BSP.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it is in the Latin, but I mean, we can find out. So my buddy's back up, like he's getting his pack ready, and I'm preparing, my below surface delivery system, and I do my business, and it obviously takes longer than just finding a place that is level and dropping a deuce on the ground and doing your business, just walking away for somebody
You
else
got
to
to
find.
get comfortable. You get the wind. It's
Dude,
like,
yeah,
it's,
for sure.
Break a few twigs, get out
yeah,
of the way.
it's like, it's a, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta
And I
get
got a
in tune.
whole like one pant leg system, because I'm not taking all my stuff off, but just one pant leg, you get all your stuff in front of you,
One pant leg.
half as much time. So
Pro tip.
if you're listening, you're like, I was going to.
You guys just noticed my head exploded.
You only have to take off one boot.
Full explosion.
So
Wow.
you never accidentally poop on your base layers when you do that.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm like 10 minutes into
technical
this routine, and I finish up and
pun intended.
like looking back, and like I'm satisfied with the work that I did, and I turn around and here comes this wolf down the creek bed, and I'm like, I've seen no sheep in the last 9 days of sheep hunting. Like this wolf is the enemy.
Yeah.
So like I tear, and I'm 40 feet, 50 feet like off the creek bed, but probably, you know, if you're doing straight line distance, only like 10 yards out from it. So I kind of like low crawl out of there and then run back up to the camp. And I get to the camp and tell my buddy, I'm like, dude, there's big wolf in the creek, big wolf in the creek. And he comes running over, and like, so this dude's, I won't give too much information, but he's a career soldier, like dude's a shooter. Jumps up on a rock that like has a little tiny, it's just barely sticking out of the ground. It has like a precipice about the size of the top of this can, and he's got both feet on it and just offhand smokes this thing at like 260 yards. But so our sheep hunt turned into a sheep conservation hunt.
Because predator management.
How many lambs did we, like, legitimately, I mean, if you quantify that, like how many lambs did you save by taking that one wolf out? And only because I took the
moose
time.
calves too.
Yep, moose calves.
Yeah.
I took the time to poo below the surface instead of just dropping a quick one and rolling out that morning.
You never would have seen it.
That's right.
God bless you.
Dude, and I bet you there's a million people that, you know, maybe should email you guys about their, like, this cool thing happened because I took the time to poop right in the woods.
You know,
Yeah.
I have one. I did an appropriate below surface defecation
BSP.
process.
I commend you for that.
BSP.
Below BSP. Yeah.
BSP. Is that what we're doing there now?
Yeah.
BSP.
I think that's official.
You got the BHA boys talking about the BSP. All right. Yeah, I clipped a deer out in Prince William Sound in mid form.
Oh,
Both pant legs down. Don't know about that one pant leg. Off air, let's get to that detail later because I'm very intrigued by that. Kind of need to know what's going on with that. That's a very interesting situation. But yeah, I mean, does everybody have maybe a story, a thing? Like, you know, bear charged me when I was taking a shit. Oh no, you know, like the rod bent down. I had to grab the rod. Like, oh shit, you know, the service. Pants are down.
yeah, it might be
that's
more common than we're aware of.
Dude, I think so. I mean, everybody's seen the picture. I can't remember who did it. It was probably like a Terry Redlin or, you know, one of those like famous outdoor artists. You know, the guy's, you know, taking a crap and gigantic buck walks by and his rifle's 2 trees over. You know? I mean, so obviously this is a thing. You know?
Yeah, no, it happens.
It's good to know. Let's take a quick break real quick to shout out to some of the sponsors, and we'll come right back.
Barney Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. Barney specializes in supplying hunters with the absolute best Alaskan-proven gear on the market for some of nature's most rugged and demanding terrain. Whether you're headed to the remote volcanic islands of the Alaska Peninsula in search of a brown bear, or the shale-infested glacial valleys of the Brooks Range for Dall sheep, it is critical you choose the right gear for your dream hunt. Don't miss Barney's exclusive brand, Frontier Gear of Alaska, tested from the high mountains of Tajikistan to the extreme conditions of Alaska. These products were designed for high performance and durability. Frontier Gear was derived from decades of experience hunting big game in Alaska. Paired with other top brands, it provides you the absolute best gear selection anywhere in the world. Stop in at Barney's Sports Chalet in Anchorage on Northern Lights or check out their custom website and reference tool at barneysports.com.
Arbor Digital, based in Anchorage, Alaska, is your go-to wealth management company. Arbor Digital is at the forefront of digital assets and cryptocurrencies. If you've been looking to invest your hard-earned money or just want to learn more about crypto, blockchain technology, or digital investments, give their website, acminc.com, a visit. What's great about Arbor is they provide a low-cost, transparent, research-based investment strategy for digital assets and traditional investments as well. acminc.com is your first step in putting your money to work. Let one of Arbor's investment professionals walk you through your options for financial growth and security. Start investing for the future today at acminc.com. Arbor Digital, your Alaskan digital asset company.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience. At Total Truck, you can find brands such as ARE, RSI Smart Caps, Goose Gear, iCamper, Front Runner, Rigid Lights, Rhino Linings bed liners, and everything you need to outfit your truck or SUV. Alaska Overlander provides 4x4 vehicles and expedition trailers, custom modified for Alaskan adventures and outfitted with rooftop tents, fridges, and all the camping and cooking gear you need to start exploring. Visit them at alaskaoverlander.com.
What do you got there, buddy? Is that caffeine?
Oh, nice.
Oh, there you go.
Nice.
Do they got a little kick? Yeah.
You want one?
Sure. Yeah, why not?
I've been taking some. Jack always has the
Sure,
Zins.
try it out.
Yeah.
I like that.
I
Oh,
overdosed
okay.
on those things.
Oh, you did?
They made me throw up while I was doing yard work.
Oh, I can't do too much of it. I can only do a little bit.
Yeah, I was just going basically what I'm doing now, but they were like way higher.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. And it was just.
So
one
what is this
after one
like
after one.
in like reference to like a what are those little chew pouches?
Yeah, the
Zen.
Zins. Yeah.
Yeah, Zins. There's those like levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the lowest.
Oh, good.
lowest.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Give it a shot.
Don't pass out on us.
I was like, "Whoa, guys!"
It's my
Give me a break.
guilty habit right now.
So you used to chew like crazy?
No, you know, I actually have never really had like a nicotine addiction. This might actually be my nicotine addiction
Probably
now, but
qualifies.
yeah. But when I'm on the river, there's nothing I want more than to have a pack of rolling tobacco.
Oh.
Really?
Like, if you say raft, I'm like, I start drooling. But it's literally like defined to the river.
Yeah.
And then once I'm off, it's just really not an issue.
Yeah.
But then I got introduced to these things, and I eat them like candy.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
Dude, how'd that
is
start,
crazy.
man? Like your first rafting trip, someone was just doing like home rolled cigarettes or cigars or.
I don't know how it actually got like attached to rafting, but I don't know. I liked to party when I grew up, and I would have like an American spirit here or there, you know.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Oh, how dare you? And this is on air, so I can't. But I don't know. Just somehow it really correlated to just being on the river, and well, actually, what I will say is like when you could. I don't know if this is what we should be talking about right now. But when you could be
script.
Yeah, right. when they banned smoking in bars and you had to go outside.
Yep.
That was to me when I came into that world. I think it was already banned before I was old enough to go into bars, but like it was a moment to step outside and just like get away from whatever was going on in
get
there,
some
right?
fresh air, yeah.
And so now when I'm on the river and I have a cigarette, it literally is a moment for me to just like shut up and like stop and be quiet and like look around,
Soak it in.
Sure.
and soak it in. And
Okay.
and I think that just kind of became part of it. It was more of the act of doing it, but obviously nicotine is very addictive.
Yeah.
But for me, initially, I think it was more the act of just like an intentional stepping away and just being like, oh, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the bar when you could smoke?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I don't miss that.
No,
Oh, you'd
not one bit.
stink
Holy
so
shit,
bad.
dude.
Your clothes would be done.
Airport smoking lounges, like all that stuff.
Yep.
Do you remember, like, well, you probably, have you messed around with Coots much? I mean, 5 years here, Coots is like not what it used to be. Not taking anything away from Coots today. Joe Coots is employee-owned deal. Morgan sold it to his crew, but I don't know, how old am I? 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. It was before it got phased completely out. Man, you come home, and you get home from the bar, you just like, your clothes are just in a pile over there next to your bed or in your bedroom. And you'd get up in the morning to go take a piss, and you'd walk by it, and you just like, ugh. You could just smell fucking Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, that I'll never forget, man. Or your like old lady's hair. or your girlfriend for the night.
Yep.
That was the case.
Whoa.
At that time, of course. It was just like, ugh. Like, I mean, it was just like, why the fuck were we smoking in the bar? Like, I didn't smoke ever. I'm not a smoker, never have. But it was just like disgusting. I go to a bar now, it's just like, all you smell is cologne and perfume BO and booze.
Spilled beer on the floor.
Yeah, you don't smell the smoke anymore.
Yeah. They don't even smoking in restaurants.
That
was gross too.
Oh yeah, I used to go to a Chinese buffet in Biloxi, Mississippi, and it was probably the early 2000s, and you could smoke at in the buffet restaurant.
Yeah,
I used to go with a dude,
just scooping up your fried rice. But
dude, there'd be people that would do an intermission, so they would eat 7 plates of General Tso's chicken and then smoke 8 cigarettes, and then go back for the orange chicken. But
it's good as sex, man.
Dude, you talk about the bar thing. I was able to legally drink way before the age of 21, but I enlisted in my senior year of high school and spent my first tour overseas in Europe. Dude, you could go to the bar if you had euro, you could buy a drink. It didn't there was no drinking age. And but in Europeans smoke on an Olympic level. It's different than anything that you see here. It's crazy. They light a cigarette in the morning and then just jumpstart the next cigarette all the way until siesta, and then they really start smoking at that point. And just pounding Amstels and Heinekens. But yeah, same thing.
But they ride the bike to work and take a siesta.
Dude, it's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
That's how they keep it going.
I mean, it's old lifestyle
For sure.
trends that it's not frowned upon. It's just what you did. What did kids start smoking when they're 6 or 7 years old?
Yep.
There?
Probably.
In some of those areas?
You see super young kids. It's crazy now because I've seen it change in military culture I was served for 20 years.
Wow.
In the beginning, everybody smoked. People started smoking because they joined the military, right? They were dude, everybody else is smoking. I'm going to get beat up.
Well.
That was my dad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and now it's almost I won't say you're ostracized, but it's just not popular.
okay.
So since I retired from active duty, went back to work as a DOD employee, as a civilian, and I look at these these younger military folks, you look outside the window of my building and you might see 1 or 2 people in a course of an entire 8-hour workday.
Yeah,
go out to have a cigarette. It's crazy. Yeah.
I'm seeing it with alcohol too.
Yeah,
there's a lot of just younger people who they just don't drink. I don't know what they do.
Well,
that's true. You're right about that.
We wrecked it. They swore they're I'm never going to be like those guys.
Never going to be like that. Yeah.
Exactly.
That guy's a prick.
Fucking drinks too much.
Bottoms up. More for me.
That's right. Can I get another Crimson Mint, please?
Yeah, I think you're right though. I think kids are they're healthier. They're just not into it like we were.
Yeah.
No. And that comes from a generation. My family life. Well, I think my mom's side came from Washington, in the 40s or something. But all my growing up, all my family, mother and father side, everybody drank. And I'm not, and some too much. Yeah, actually, most of them too much. But it wasn't too much like it is today. It was just normal. You worked all day, you came home, you had your cocktails. Weekend came, you drink all weekend. And growing up, you go on camping trips, you go down to grandma's house in Homer, everybody's there. Everybody's got a beer in their hand, a cocktail, glass of wine. It's just normal. So growing up, it was I guess, watching everybody smoke, watching everybody drink. That's what you do. Maybe that's phased out because us as parents, I was really kind of I didn't really like my kids seeing a beer in my hand for a while. And then I kind of got away from it. Now it's it seems like it's pretty normal. We go out on camping trips with our kids and our families and we're drinking beers.
Yeah.
Nobody's being a lushed out idiot and, making an ass of themselves in front of the kids. But
You don't have like an Uncle Rick personality.
There's always
Somebody
one
goes
guy.
full Uncle Rick.
He's pooping all over the ground.
Yeah, full surface pooper.
Hold on a second. Let me drop my pant leg. No, but I mean, it just, I guess it's just generational shifts in what's like normal to people, what's not. So I certainly would encourage my kids to be drinking. They see us drink, but we're pretty responsible about it, I think. And,
Yeah.
you know, we don't go over the top, but, and I think too, maybe parents were just more comfortable with letting it loose, and sometimes they drink a little too much. And like, I mean, I saw lots of family members and friends and stuff like spilling over, doing the full timber and tipping and helping them to their tent or their camper or whatever they're doing, you know. And but it wasn't like you judged them or anything. You just like, oh, there's you know, Uncle John, he's fucking hammered.
Guess it's time to go to bed.
Help him up to the bedroom there and get him to bed.
Well, I think along with social media and the internet and you know, all the kids that are raised up on that,
Good point.
they just see that healthy lifestyle. It's just in your face now, you know, and it's something that people want to do, be a part of, and people want to follow. Whereas, you know, back then we didn't have the internet, and all we saw was our family drinking or smoking or whatever. Whereas now you're online and you probably have role models that the kids have, like, I want to be like this person who's fit and healthy and all that stuff, where we didn't have that, I don't think.
Yeah, we had ads with the Marlboro Cowboy.
Yeah.
You know, the whole, like, you'd open the magazine, it was like 2 pages with the cowboy and his donkey and his, you know, his cigarette, his badass gear on. You were like, fuck yeah, I want to be like him.
And there was commerce around it. Like, I could save this stuff up and I could buy stuff.
Oh,
with
yeah.
it.
Camel
Leather
points.
Marlboro jacket or
Right?
like the camel duffel.
Yeah, you collected it was like the Monopoly game. You collected the camel points.
Camel cash.
Camel cash, yeah.
Camel cash,
Dude,
yeah.
what about dump truck? So, first time I met him, this is a old homie, dump truck. It makes sense, but it sounds kind of different right now.
Definite surface pooper.
Utter disregard for everything you're supposed to keep coveted in nature. Dump truck, not a bad dude. And his name's Brandon, by the way. So, we went, I met you guys just randomly. You guys called me. I was at the Russian, and you guys had just gotten done a float. And I met you guys at the Kingfisher for a beer and a burger after a fishing trip. I was down there solo. You guys floated. Well, he was complaining about how the shit got wet. And I was like, oh, man, you don't got a dry bag? You know, I'm thinking like, man, if you raft, you got to put your shit in a dry bag. He's like, no, I got this. And he pulls up the Marlboro duffel bag. And I'm like, holy shit. How many Marlboro points or whatever? I was like, you still got something of that? And that used to be really popular.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you saw I got the Marlboro jacket and the T-shirt
sure.
and the duffel bag and the hat. And you had the
My
Marlboro
dad had
stuff.
one whole side of the garage full of cars, paper bags full of the Marlboro, because he used to smoke Marlboro Reds.
Yeah.
And he had, because he was saving up for, I don't know what he was saving up for.
Ferrari.
Yeah.
Marlboro Ferrari.
Yep.
But it blew me away when he busted that out. I was like, holy shit, man.
That's right. It wasn't
How much
waterproof,
is that?
though.
No, it is not. Those seams are definitely not tight. Those are. It's a water
nylon.
resistant bag.
Yeah.
Not waterproof bag.
Definitely not waterproof.
Sorry, got off track a little bit there, guys.
Pretty good tangent though.
It was fun. Memory
All right.
lane.
BHA Alaska. What? Let's talk a little bit about the history of the Alaska. Let's start with the history of the beginning of that. Where was the first chapter, maybe, and then if we know, if not, we can look it up. And then when did it start? I guess let's focus on Alaska. When did BHA really become its own chapter up here? And walk us through that.
You know, I don't know the exact year that the chapter in Alaska was established or became a member, but I think that there's probably a few folks that we could probably recognize today that were really like formidable members of that. I'm probably going to not say somebody, hopefully somebody doesn't get offended, but like the one person for sure would be Barry, right?
Barry,
like
definitely.
Barry Whitehill, like he's like the Chuck Norris of
Oh shit.
raft, like pack rafting and raft hunting in Alaska. Like just, I mean, every time, this is going to sound like super, like I got a crush on Barry.
You do.
And I might.
That's okay.
Full bromance?
Dude, it's wild. But like every time like you get around the dude, like I would call him. I talked to him like 2 days ago, and I mean, being the the kind natured dude that he is, invited me on a raft hunting trip this fall. But yeah, he just like he knows how, because he's lived like outside of Alaska, but he's lived here for so long. He knows how unique Alaska is when it comes to public lands, and it's so easy to take what's here for granted. And that resonated with me because I grew up in western Pennsylvania in the Allegheny Mountains, and we had some game lands, but they were it was competitive, like you talked about before, and it's like you went to the game lands as a last resort because you couldn't get permission on somebody's private property, right?
Okay.
So then you took to the game lands, which is what we did. A lot as kids, we were hunting on the game lands, but bringing that back to the Alaska chapter. I mean, there's a lot of people here that are from somewhere else. So when you start talking about to BHA people in Alaska, you're talking to quite a few folks that that understand the true to core value of what it means to be able to have that much uninhibited wilderness that you can just go and do, like just get weird and just go do whatever it is that you like to do.
Get in touch with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And just interacting with what's out there. And being in a place that makes you feel small, makes you feel vulnerable, makes you feel like you could be a bad dude 355 days out of the year, but the 10 days you spend sheep hunting, you just know you're not that bad of a dude anymore, right? I mean, but it's not like in a way that's defeating at all. It's
enlightening.
It absolutely is. It's because it's like that knowledge is power thing, right? When you know like where your place in the world is, you become more in tune with what it is. You interact with it in a different way.
Very true.
But then you bring a part of that back with you. And then I think it goes into the conversations you have with people. You start talking about like advocating for public lands. You're doing it like maybe in Anchorage, but like your mind is somewhere else. Your mind is where you were on a caribou hunt like last fall, or the river that you floated over the summer, or the sheep hunt that you were at, in August. And so you're having like this like, this like bifold experience where you're engaging with somebody right now, but like your mind is somewhere else, and it's in a place that a lot of people have never been able to experience. So Barry had that, and and he really pushed hard to make sure that that Alaska, which is a place that that maybe doesn't need as much help as some other places do to advocate for public lands, had a chapter, because Barry was able to look at, from his experience, he was able to look downrange, like we were talking about earlier, and know that in the future it will. In the future it will need like a bunch of dudes sitting around a table making decisions before policymakers and investment stakeholders and other other interested parties made decisions for the people that were actually using those public lands. So then it grew from there. Alaska got its chapter coordinator position 2 years ago.
2 or 3, yeah.
Yeah, so
I think it was 2 because it was early COVID, yeah.
Yep. So 2020, early 2020, Jacob Mannix came on board as the chapter coordinator, and has really kind of like helped take all the different perspectives. 'Cause like Alaska's huge, right?
Yeah.
So like the dude in Southeast isn't, I mean, not saying he doesn't care or isn't worried about the West Susitna access road, right? He's probably a little bit more threatened by the stuff in Tongass.
Tongass stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And that dude that really cares about Dillingham probably isn't really looking too much at Anwar. I can't really say that because I think everybody's looking at that. But, Yeah, so
It's almost like a divide and conquer deal.
Yeah.
Where they have their agents or whatever representatives in these areas that are looking out for that area.
And you probably saw that too. So like the state subdivided, like it's one chapter, but it's subdivided into regions that align with like kind of like what Fish and Game looks at as far as regions.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so like they could, these smaller groups of people could really kind of focus on like how do we like punch something in the face like when it needs face punched. And it's if you don't do that, you're just cleaning shots off somebody's outside shoulder, and that's not gonna get anybody anywhere. So
is there someone on the Campbell Lake team?
Brad, man.
It's gonna be South Central. Yeah.
Real soon.
Oh man,
I've got the guy for you, Nick.
We actually have thrown that one around. Like, should we get involved with that one? Should we not? Like, the interesting thing I think that Dave brought up is it's not that obviously people who are born and raised. I assume you both were born and raised up here.
Not born but raised.
Raised, yeah.
I am.
It's not that folks who are born and raised up here don't care, right? It's just I think what Dave brought up about people coming up from those areas where it was more of a hot topic, more of an issue, made it a little bit more urgent. That something like Campbell Lake it should be more alarming than it is. And Campbell Lake is what? It's tiny.
It's tiny.
It's tiny.
It's like a pond.
But like, so I'm going to get off topic, or not off topic, but I'm going to go another direction for a second. So actually we had a discussion a few months ago about kind of like the whole like, hey, public lands, like they're so great, but they're threatened up here. It doesn't resonate.
Yeah.
Because we have so much, like we have so much public land that isn't actually under threat. So how do we kind of like flip that narrative and make it more like a celebration of like, we have so much public land, you know what I mean? And make it more of like a point of pride of like, I'm not going to let that asshole come in and like, throw his money around or whatever it is and cut off the access to the things that I love to do.
Yeah.
Versus it being like, oh shit, this is a threat now.
Yeah. Like a proactive versus reactive.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
And it's tough because like legitimately, I think the full force comes out when you're being reactive.
Yeah.
Right. Proactive is like put
the wall.
like, yeah, exactly. Now you're getting defensive.
Well, that's the thing. You become irrational in a lot of situations, and what you look like is somebody that is. BHA prides itself on being a science-based conservation public land advocacy group, and when you react because of an emotional position, you almost erode a little bit of like what brings real value to what we do, which is
core values of what it's all about.
You can align like I can show you why this is a bad idea. It's not a bad idea because it hurts my feelings and it makmakes me mad. It's a bad idea because it's bad for the land, it's bad for the wildlife, and it's bad for the people that use it.
Yeah. I mean, was it BC the big predator hunting thing a few years last year maybe? Yeah. Last year or 2 years ago, they put up some restrictions with predator hunting down there, and it was purely based off of emotion. Yep. It was not a science-based decision, and they closed down.
That went into it.
Yeah, they closed down predator hunting to either all of BC or at least some part of BC, and that actually BC is the only, to my knowledge, the only Canadian BHA. They have a BHA chapter in BC really? As well.
Oh, okay.
And they fought against it, and they fought against it because we're purely science-based. It's like, we trust the scientists. How many times have you heard that in the last 2 years? Like, trust the science, and it's tough because it is emotional, and it's tough to think about your teddy bear getting killed. Right. But like at the same time, you have to take into consideration. I think I saw on Facebook the other day, like somebody was out there who obviously is a very, very knowledgeable hunter in Prince William Sound, and they're like, "This is the most bears I've ever seen out here," And to someone who's not really privy to all of this, they're going to be like, well, leave them alone, you know? And it's like, but what about, you know, the deer, you know, and what about the goats and those sorts of things that aren't necessarily like, it's easy to think everything just lives in harmony. And sure, in the grand scheme of things, that I guess you could call it harmony. There's nature that takes place, and there's phases and cycles. But like when it comes down to something like predator hunting, we can help manage those things. And not in a way that is greedy or evil or whatever you want to call it, but legitimately it's in an effort to just like keep a balance.
And I think that's the biggest pushback that, maybe not the biggest pushback that BHA gets, but we hear that a lot too. Like, well, you guys only care because you want to go hunt and fish.
Right.
Well, you're damn right. I mean, but again, it comes back to that maintaining a user group, because that user group gives value to what we're trying to protect, right? Have you ever seen something that was so valuable that nobody wanted it around or wanted to like use it or have it? That doesn't exist because it's gone. If at some point something lost its value to the people that that sought after it, it just became a non-focal point at that juncture. So I think that's like something that we have to not remind people of, but just kind of keep in the forefront of people's thoughts. Like go and like if there's a public place that you enjoy and that you love and that you like and you want to be there for a long time, go support it for the things that you like doing, and don't worry about why the person next to you is supporting the same thing that you are.
For a different reason.
That's a distraction.
Reason,
and that's what outside entities are going to use to distract you and like create
the divide between people.
Absolutely.
And then the resource is gone.
Right. Absolutely. People look at like I'm going to talk about it as a controversial maybe type thing, but Land talked about it on CBS, so I think we can talk about it here, is the backpacking excise tax. People are trying to make that a divisive thing, make that like a divide, and it's really not. I don't think it has to be negative to say that, we already know through Pittman-Robertson, Dangle-Johnson Act that like there's an excise tax on things that get bought for the purpose of recreating in the capacity of hunting, fishing, shooting sports, right? I don't think it's like unrealistic or in the face of anybody who doesn't do those things but also buys outdoor equipment and gear.
So what are they trying to do?
Trying to like impose a tax on like a more broad user group of outdoor enthusiasts. So
instead of just the
not just ammunition,
pinpointing one thing. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Spread it out.
But like people creep in, they're like, oh, look, the hunters are trying to make you guys pay to go hiking. That's not it. We're asking,
you to help out. Do your part.
It's two groups saying, hey, let's work together.
It's like picking up trash.
Look how effective what we're doing is working. Imagine if it was double or triple or quadruple. There's more people out there walking around than there are walking around with a rifle. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yep. So if you want this trailhead to be here 100 years from now, like, pay an extra 5% for your backpack.
Be part of the solution.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I never thought about that. I mean, actually, hunting and fishing my whole life, I didn't even know about the Pittman-Robertson and the other thing until like last year.
Yeah.
I think that info is not readily available, or a lot of people don't even know that.
Sure.
But it makes 100% sense to spread out the weight to everyone else that's using that areas, whether it's backpack hunters or cross-country skiers or bikers or whoever. Like, we all are doing it for the same reason.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get there too, because like I'm starting to see more people that represent like an amalgam of those things rather than just one thing. I think that, and maybe it was where I grew up or the time frame that I grew up, but like you had to identify, right? So you were a hunter, right? So if you hunted, that means you also couldn't do things like you can be a mountain biker too, because mountain bikers don't want you getting off the trail and like crushing a flower, or hikers didn't want you doing a certain thing. If you were like hiking to an alpine lake, you were doing something like wholesome. If you didn't care how you got to the alpine lake, but you just wanted to like throw a hopper dropper rig into it and catch trout. Like that was a different thing and a different experience, and that was less wholesome. Like so it was like somehow downgraded in like the overall matrix of like what is good for the for the ecosystem. So you're starting to see now more like of these blending of these different groups of people, and I think it's like get excited. See guys out there with like a bow scabbard on the back of a fat tire bike, and but is also doing like pub rides in the wintertime. And people are asking like, dude, why is your bike camouflage? Like, what's the point of that? You're like trying to hide it, or like like, no, I hunt off of it. Like, dude, really, I've been thinking about hunting, man. I just like sick of buying crap from the grocery store or whatever. And all of a sudden now you're talking about doing something that is also a BHA initiative, which is recruitment, retention, and reactivation of hunters, which is a really important thing, and making sure that we maintain the numbers to be able to properly advocate for stuff like, making sure that the West Susitna access road, like things don't go there that aren't supposed to be there.
Let's jump into that. Let's jump into that real quick. That seems to be
the West Susitna access road,
a really touchy subject that maybe a lot of people haven't even heard about if you haven't been like looking into it. But definitely, I'm getting a lot of responses, and I don't know if it's Facebook leading me into looking at this kind of stuff. Actually, break it down a little bit. It sounds like Brandon wasn't aware of what it is and what they're trying what they're trying to do.
I've heard of it, but I'm zero knowledge of what it is.
And for anyone that's listening that might not know what it is too.
So the most recent thing,
dam.
No,
there was one.
That's a different thing.
Okay, that's different.
But,
I kind of know about that, and that's a huge no.
That was like prior to the recreation river management plan that I talked about.
I pulled it up here. I just Googled it to see what it was. West Susitna Access Road is a proposed 100-mile mining access road through the currently roadless area west of the Susitna River.
You guys know where that area is, right?
And it says where. While 3 routes were considered during the Phase 2 MOU 3, the Port McKenzie route through Rainy Pass was determined the most viable. The route would run from Port McKenzie to Estelle Mining District near Rainy Pass in the Eastern Range. So it's going to be basically like the Iron Dog Trail, essentially. Or Iditarod. Iditarod Trail.
Yes.
And Iron Dog Trail. It's actually the same area. I mean, that's a main pass. Airplanes, snow machines, dog sleds, all of it.
Yep.
Because it's the way you can go north from Sleeping Lady, basically, right?
Yep.
Around and then head up towards, you just keep going.
Squetna, like that?
Yeah, past Squetna.
Yeah.
Chilatna. Yep. Okay.
So their goal is to build a road simply for the miners. I mean, it's not going to be public access, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's their goal.
I mean, I think that when you look at these proposals when they come together at first, there's obviously there's a box and there's something in the box, and then there's wrapping paper and a bow, right? Because no matter what's in the box, we want it to look good from the outside.
Yeah.
So there's different talks about well, if the road's here, then you'll be able to use it. But we've seen in other instances where that's not always the case.
Ambler.
That's the perfect example. Not to mention that people talk about to risk is gain, right? But also you have to wager something. And that's the thing that I think that gets overlooked. What are we potentially throwing into the pot as the ante just to get a couple cards to see what this thing looks like? And the most recent one, like Brad was saying, is that recreational status of the Sioux Basin river systems and the Sioux drainage. So this is a place that I absolutely love.
Yeah, same here.
Dude, there's nothing that I get more one of my first Alaska experiences coming up here, I was on the ground for 3 days, and I'm in the Alaska what do you call it, limousine, CR with a jet outboard, like hauling up the Yetna, man. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude,
Badass up there.
I'm here. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. If those rivers lose recreational status, it can mean a bunch of different things, like commercial application. They could become all private, to the point where like you lose like that access. So you may have like high water mark, that's great, but then you can't go beyond that. Like there's not that many dudes like that are up there that are successful every year shooting a moose off the shore.
Definitely not. Actually, like very rarely.
Right.
They have those any bull tags that you can get up there, and I hear more guys coming back empty-handed than they do with moose.
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't get those. I try.
Yeah,
I'd love one of those.
I mean, I've hunted it twice.
Yeah,
and it's badass bush. It's
Dude,
not just like, oh, I'm gonna go hiking in the woods. No, it's old growth. It's swamp. It's
Muskeg, yeah.
It's like almost impossible to just think you're gonna like jet up there and find a moose.
Yeah. And
airboat, you have a better chance. It's tough hunting.
Yeah, and you got to get off like the main river system, and that would become the problem, right? Because now we get off of the navigatable waterway, and you get into like, what is actually like what's protected, what is public now, like where can I go? Where can I
up there too?
Yeah, and there is some private property up there for sure. It's probably one of the only places that I ever kick my Onyx subscription on in Alaska.
Same here.
Yeah, because I want to do the right thing. But imagine if there was nothing that you could access up there, because it was all road accessible. Look at other places that used to be like full remote, like snow machine only in the wintertime. Float plane or riverboat in the summertime that have had roads put in, where now like everything, eventually we talked about the slippery slope earlier, those protections get eroded and the shoreline becomes further and further back. Not the literal, but the figural shoreline. Before you know it, like everything is private, and there's plenty of people out there, and this doesn't condemn private landowners by no means. Like private land ownership is like, that's like an American, right, and for some people that's like the goal. You spend your whole life to be able to own some private property. There's got to be some type of balance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that who's pushing for that House Bill 20 stuff?
What
private? Is it private ownership, or is it like lodges, or what's?
I don't get that impression.
Who's pushing that?
The road?
Yeah.
It's it's mining.
The mining district.
I've got a Y right here. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So the road is being developed to open a large mining district in remote Alaska. AIDEA reports that the mine will benefit mining claims in the Estelle Mining District, open up timber and agricultural lands, and provide increased recreation. 2, despite these claims, there are no indications of how the road will be paid for. That's probably a really tough one, because that's got to be unfucking believably expensive to try and develop a road through that crazy ass bush.
$350 million is what they're thinking right now.
Yeah, actually, I did see that number somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, good call. Where was I? It will be maintained. How will it be paid for? How will it be maintained? If the road will be public, and how agriculture and timber sales will be handled.
Yeah.
So, and then one little piece here. Many Alaskans, including nearby residents who would be impacted, indigenous peoples whose traditional lands the road would go through, local lodge and business owners, and people concerned with the health of the watershed advocated for a more clear and open public process, as well as changes to the understanding that would protect the ecosystem that we rely on.
Yep.
It's a tough one to like get through all those weeds.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And get this. I mean, this is probably toward the end of our lifetime that this would actually happen, if it happened. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, no sooner than like 15 or 20 years for sure. But
okay, so sooner than that.
Well, I plan on dying before then.
Yeah,
Brad goes hard.
Give me some rolling tobacco. I'll take care of it.
Yeah. Give me your absence tobacco. We'll see what happens.
It's me at 60, man. I just don't know what my quality of life will be like at that point anyway.
No shit.
I mean, I think at base level, the big question is like, well, what's wrong with the road, right? If it stays public, and it improves access for more people, what's wrong with that, right? And at the base level, there's nothing wrong with that, But you read some of those questions, which is like, how is it going to be maintained?
Who's paying for it?
Who's paying for it? The
mines?
What's going to happen to the natural resources that are there? I think if I remember right, there's something like 140 stream crossings that road's going to do.
156.
Okay, yeah. 156 stream crossings with some bridges that are over 1,000 feet long. And so all of that stuff that's going to have to go in, all of the engineering, all of the money, and all of the what everyone would assume the environmental protections are getting put into place are they happening? You know,
Yeah.
And I know that there's a handful of those streams, more than a handful of those streams that all 5 salmon return to spawn.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so now we're talking about, okay, again, there's nothing wrong with building a road, but are you going to do it responsibly? Are you going to do it for the better of the environment, or at least to maintain that pristineness of the environment? And in addition, is it actually going to be public?
Yeah.
You know,
That's a big question.
That's the big question.
Right. And how enforceable is all the environmental stuff? Like, do we have the capacity to monitor and enforce, you know, the whatever building codes and environmental codes are around putting in 157 bridges, which I think it's one of these that talks about like how many miles of bridges that is too, and you know, I would imagine that's all Corps of Engineer stuff. So which is a pretty a pretty.
It
busy
seems like a
group of
low
people.
ball number too.
Right. I agree.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
For that big of a project.
Yep. And you know, if you actually like go into some of there's reports on so one of the other hot topics is the small number of public meetings that they had about this, right? The public opinions that they accepted. I think there was actually one online and one in person in March or maybe before then, but sometime recently. And they did a really good job recording the responses and the questions and all of that from the public. And I think in the most recent one, there was something like 1,300 people that responded, and it's like 70 or more % of the public opposes.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
You know, and it's not just, you know, Joe Schmo. It's also like the person with the lodge at the top of Lake Creek. You know, and there's business things there too. Obviously, nobody wants competition to their business, but like, so there's part of that. But at the same time, you legitimately have just user groups, indigenous people, and all, you know, other Alaskans who go out there and they take their jet boats up the river or whatever, and they are legitimately more than 70% are like, I think there's like 6 or 7 pie charts that they have of like where people fell on the spectrum of like, should this happen or should this not? And every single one is more than 70% say no.
Yeah.
Just straight up no.
Yeah.
But still somehow it's making its way through. You know, it's getting punched through.
It's chipping away.
Yeah.
There
And
must
it's
be
like,
a lot
okay.
of gold at the end of that road.
And you know, the I keep going back to this rivers, the recreation rivers management plan that actually got written into the Constitution. And so I was thinking about this morning as I was thinking about coming on to the show. And I don't know, this might not sit well with some people, but like, if you're pushing for the constitutional right of the PFD, you damn well better be pushing for the state to stick to the Constitution of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you'd be a hypocrite if you
Exactly.
weren't on board with it.
Like,
If
the
you-
Constitution says this. Well, you're right. The Constitution also says this: protect these rivers.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen because the public's said their piece.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and so we'll just have to keep saying our piece, I guess.
And if you're hearing this stuff and you're unfamiliar with the topic, there's so much out there too. Like the Sioux Coalition is like, I mean, they're pumping out, they're doing a really good awareness, campaign. They were at the Sportsman's Show. I mean, they were throwing it down, and it's like, it goes back to stuff that like the BHA holds near and dear, which is like science-based stuff. It's not somebody's like, my grandpa took me out there when I was a kid, so like it really hurt my feelings. That's important, right? That's part of like hunting heritage. But it's not the stuff that you can throw across the table in Juneau.
It's not
or
going
in
to hold
DC.
any weight.
Right.
No.
Yeah. It's a bucket full of holes. So.
Yeah, they got a big piece on the coalition's statement on it.
Yeah.
And everything here, and they're the ones against the mine, right? Or I'm sorry, the dam, the whole dam thing.
Yeah.
They're like the no to the mine and the whole thing, and that's a whole different topic.
Yeah,
Trout Unlimited is in there too.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. All the time I've spent up there and recreate. I have a jet boat. I love it. Spent a lot of time messing around, pike fishing, hunting, just exploring, because it's just so huge and massive and amazing and beautiful up there. First off, there's a ton of private property.
Yeah.
Tons of it. Like, I didn't realize there's like, people got fucking cars and shit.
I always wonder about that too. Like, is like winter, I don't know.
There's the barges, those big barges that run the river, and they can take, loaders and cars and up there. And I stayed with the Johnson family. My 1 year anniversary, my wife and I ran up to Fish Creek's Lodge up there. I don't know if you guys have been up there. Beautiful lodge. I could see, not implying that they're against this or for it. I can't speak for them, but based on my interaction with that family and their roots that are like literally embedded in that area, I could see like why they would be like, hell fucking no to this, right? Because they live up there. They love that pristine. They run a lodge. They run a business. They're very successful. Beautiful area. They have road systems built and shit out there, man. They got like this badass setup. But they said that time before the freeze and right after summer, right before it freezes, it's like desolate.
Yeah.
They said that's their favorite time of year because there's no one running boats. There's no one running planes because float planes can't land because things are icing up. People aren't quite switching over to the skis and stuff yet because there's no snow. And they love that like sanctuary, that like quiet, no one's around. It's like few 6 weeks or whatever, that little window that they have like the whole place to themselves. And I could see why like 70% are like, fuck that.
Yeah.
You're not punching that thing through here.
Right. I mean, and if you've ever been up there, I mean, you've probably never like cut the keys to your jet boat as you started to drift into one of those back sloughs and reach for your paddle, and you're like, man, I'm gonna like today's gonna be the day. I'm gonna get up here and rip a cow call, dude, and he's gonna come.
Yep.
And you're like, but if only there was like more roads and mines up here. Like, it would just make the whole experience better. Like, that's just
really want a big truck to go by, right?
I wish a tractor trailer would rip it by.
Go for a Jake break, just.
That's a great point, man. I mean, I'm personally, as we talk about this, I'm like processing this. I'm like, it sounds kind of cool, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's like pristine and. I don't know.
Like the first 10 years would probably be awesome, right? Because you just have like all like
it'd be all new. And yeah.
And then 20 years later, you'd be like, dude, why did we do this? It was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Like, because there was no long range vision, and that's what like what I urge and the coalition urges, like look at this like through the lens of perpetuity. Look way downrange. Look beyond you. Look beyond like your kids. Like
generations
is this
ahead.
good for Alaska? If you were to remove like your personal feelings on it, like is it just good? And you have to come to that conclusion on your own. But I mean, I think that
comes down to economics, right?
Well, exactly. That's what I was going to say. And now it comes down to money, right?
Yeah.
And money talks. But like, that's the other missing piece of this right now is there hasn't actually been a demonstrably clear cost benefit analysis done where
Right.
it's like, okay, they talk about creating jobs, but they don't actually say how many,
Because they don't know.
because they don't know.
Or like how many would be like would be like set asides for local employment, or
Sure.
how many people would just be like, yeah, there's 100,000 jobs. We're bringing 100,000
Gold
people
rush.
from. Yeah,
Oh, right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, sure, if it's going to bring some major economic benefit to Alaska, yes, it is absolutely worth talking about. I'm not going to take that off the table.
Yeah, we're all for that.
Responsibly managed, right? But like, you haven't demonstrated that yet.
Yeah.
Like, what is the number that's going to come out of this? Like in our business, when we have to go to somebody and say like, hey, we would like you to give us some money, they're going to say, well, what am I getting in return?
Yeah.
So if we're going down to the economics now, the state needs to be saying, what are we getting in return?
Yep.
And it needs to be like a number.
Viable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, with a plan to make it happen. And so far, it's all been very, very vague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking like brass tacks money. I don't care what like projections and like the dollar amount you can throw at this. I guarantee you it's going to balloon. I mean, like the shit you're going to run into in the engineering and all the what'll go into this and the roadblocks and this is going to be unbelievably expensive to get the return on your investment. How long is that going to take? How many lifetimes are going to cycle before like there's actually you're back in the green on the money invested in this?
Yeah, dude.
By investors. It ain't going to be like one rich
Well,
kid.
not
It's
even
gonna
the
be
money. I mean, you screw up one of those bridge moves, and there goes how many salmon?
Yeah.
That will
Oh
never
yeah.
go back.
Or you have some wicked gnarly spill.
Yeah.
Right.
And
then getting it
fucking
in
lawsuits fly, and it's like everything's halted for 5 years, and it's like,
Yep.
how many of those are you going to run into? Like
And
a
then
bunch.
Who's
Shit's
to
gonna happen.
blame? It's the state at that point.
Right.
Oh yeah,
It's not the
They're the enemy now.
companies.
Right.
Yeah,
And
definitely not.
And then the state acts irresponsibly, and then who governs the state? At that point, whenever like you reach a catastrophic level from like something deemed an environmental mishap that's due from irresponsibility, now you get federal oversight. How many people in Alaska want the federal government to determine more of how we manage resources in Alaska? You're not going to get a bunch of hands raised.
No.
So,
And then when you're talking that type of money, I mean, what would benefit more using that money in different places where it's like even as simply as like widening the road to Girdwood, that makes way more sense to me to spend, $400 million or whatever it would cost.
yeah, make it back in 2 years.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. That's
I think it's important to note too that like I don't think that there's many things that BHA like strictly like just like point blank stands against. We're not a non-developmental group. We're not an environmental compliancy group. We're not an anti-mining group. It's none of those things. It all comes back to like, are we looking at facts? Are we looking at science-based stuff? Are we doing something to encourage awareness for public lands where they are now, what can make them better, and like what type of impact can we have today to ensure that they're still public, in the foreseeable future, and even the non-foreseeable future. That's what it comes down to. So like, people, kick hats and labels around and put, all these different things on different groups. And, at the end of the day, I think that like, especially as outdoorsmen, as hunters and fishers, like, we kind of owe it to each one of those groups, like get around a table like this, man, have a beer and a conversation about stuff that like you feel is important, and be willing to hear the other side of things.
Yep.
And BHA does that
Consider everything
well. Oh, absolutely.
and its impact.
Yep. Absolutely.
let's take one quick second here.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
The Treehouse AK, your one-stop dispensary located at 341 Boniface Parkway. Be sure to ask the bud tender about their deal of the day, because honestly, there's always something good on deck. And guys, listen, this is where the culture lives. At the Treehouse, their dedication to servicing consumers has been developed through a lifetime of involvement in the cannabis culture. They're committed to providing the highest quality products at whatever value your budget affords, while always maintaining the deep-rooted principles that have carried them this far. Their focus is on relationships over transactions, and you can always depend on them to treat you with the respect you deserve. Hit them up at thetreehouseak.com, and remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Tailored Restoration, 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Tailored has an emergency response number with trained professionals available to help you at any time, day or night. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Make an appointment today at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Since 2008, Serrano's is Anchorage's own new generation of old cocina. Their menu showcases the passion and love of their rich heritage and unique family recipes that have been passed down through the generations. Serrano's goal is to embrace and display trad flavors using the best ingredients that are available. They focus on making everything from scratch daily. In-house menu includes handcrafted corn tortillas, salsas, carne asada, and chorizo. But don't take their word for it. Experience their tradition and sabor for yourself. Locations on Tudor and Northern Lights, both with new tequila bars. Check out their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
The Connoisseur Lounge, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. The Connoisseur Lounge is Palmer's first locally owned and operated cannabis retailer. Their beautiful store is located at 226 Evergreen Avenue. The Connoisseur Lounge has exclusive cannabis products such as Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and one of our favorites, Sugar Cookies. And if you're not into the flower, the Connoisseur can hook you up with edibles, vape supplies, and a ton of CBD options for all your health and inflammation needs. Check out their daily deals at theconnoisseurlounge.net, or even better, stop by the lounge today. Remember, you must be 21 years of age to enter their store.
Yeah, that's crazy to me with the, like, who's like the first dude around a table with a cold beer? There you go. I was like, yeah, man, let's punch a road through any pass. I was like,
You didn't get offered another beer.
yeah, let's table this thing. It's like, no more ciders for you, bud.
This guy's talking too much.
Yeah, man, this is wild. I mean, I've been up there a lot, and I the backcountry up there is just so, the way the rivers shift and the sandbars and just the ecosystem itself is like, I know we punched a road to the North Slope, okay? And that had to be insane.
Yeah.
And you see the pictures, you hear the stories. I've got an old Nat Butcher, rest in peace. He's an old trucker, hauling pipe up there, the pipeline, and it sounded miserable. It was sounded like a horrible experience. The bugs, the breakdowns, the equipment, guys getting hurt, killed. I mean, shit was bad. It was a lot of bad. And this, I guess have you guys run the Haul Road? You guys been up towards Prudhoe? Or, I mean, the country that it runs through, it's like, I can't believe they built a road through this. So that was gnarly, badass backcountry. So to say that this would be harder, I can't say, but it just, the way the Susitna Valley is, and versus like kind of going up in elevation, I don't know, man. I just can't see how getting equipment in there and punching road and like the whole engineering aspect of that project, like, I feel like you'd like get going and you'd be like, fuck this, man.
I know I
just
would.
like bag it.
We're gonna find another route here.
I'm in a Toyota Tercel.
Yeah, tell those rich guys that can have their money back, man. This is fucking not happening.
I mean, I have two comments to make on that. One is like, roads aren't bad.
No,
like that's total. Like if you're gonna improve my access to the areas I want to go to, abso-fucking-lutely, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, let's make it goes back to the. Did
I not grab you a drink?
You got me right here.
I did.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got me one too.
You got him a water.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a hard seltzer though.
Belgian water. Belgian water.
Yeah.
Well, no, this was good. I had one.
Well, you had one earlier, so I don't know.
He's pacing himself.
Okay. All right.
For the marathon.
If you what was it? Oh yeah, if you go back to our conversation about like who's picking up the trash, who's doing the the surface level shit. What was it called?
Surface
BPS.
pooping?
Surface
BSP.
pooping. BSP. Who's doing the BSPs, right? Like, how can we, or I guess maybe more about the trapping, right? Can we all get on the same page here, right? You guys are going for money. We're going for being able to continue doing the things we like to do and also preserve the natural life that flows through here. So if we can all get on the same page, then a road is totally acceptable. But if one of those things gets bypassed on either side, if nobody's willing to come to the table and negotiate and make a really solid plan, then it's a failed plan. Because at some point something's going to give.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I forgot the second.
Well,
thing.
also at some point, whatever the reason for the road for the money wise is going to run out too.
Yeah.
And then the road will still be there.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. So that's the other thing is that. So there's a couple failed projects from the same company that's helping fund this. There's a railroad, a rail belt that I don't remember when it was funded and all those things, but it's still not been completed.
Yeah.
And then there was another one, I forget what it was, but like there's a little bit of a history of throwing money at something and then not having the follow through. So like what happens what happens when we get the road to nowhere that just ends, and it's like all that for what?
Yeah.
All that disturbance, all that thrown away money, all those people's effort who thought they were building something good, like
for a reason,
for no reason anymore.
There is no
it's
reason.
But the crazy thing too is, and when you start to consider things like that, you also have to take into the fact that like this is a lifetime deal, right? So not only will the road be there forever, but the commitment to the road is there forever.
Yeah.
You can't just build it and then expect it to to last forever. I mean, we see it. We drive on it every single day. Like how inconvenient is it every time they want to replace one side of the bridge or
patch.
I don't know that amount of money. It's like we could repair a lot of things that we need repairing now. Versus building some new thing that we don't need.
And one other aspect is actually the law enforcement side.
Oh wow!
The troopers are already super understaffed.
Yeah,
and so now we're going to throw another 100-mile road this way. That people are camping and all of those things, and like emergencies happen.
Look, man.
Oh yeah.
And now we're gonna be pulling them off of the Dalton or pulling. I mean, that's a long way away, but like as an example,
their resources are spread thin already.
Yeah, exactly. So then it's like, okay, what's the emergency response look like?
Yeah.
And from
a good point.
From a former recruiter, like if you want to like incentivize a job like not APD, but the Alaska Highway Patrol is trying to do right now, you don't lead with, we're going to separate you and put you on a remote duty station, like away from your family for a long period of time.
Yeah, because that's what everybody wants to do.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to call Jack real quick. He's got some trivia for us, see if he answers here.
Oh, there we go.
Have a drink.
I'm going to kill this shit. Wait, you don't think I can, bro?
Kansas.
I got faith in you.
The answer is Kansas.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Jackie?
Good to hear your voice, Daniel-san.
Yeah, you're here with Dave May and Brad Hurd and Brandon, of course, and myself.
What's up, boy?
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Jack.
How's it going?
Oh, man, just this salt air is wonderful.
What's it like down there in Kodiak today?
Oh, man, it's gorgeous. It was like 70 degrees. It's blue skies. I don't even see any clouds. I got some snow-capped mountains, but a lot of free rain below the snow line, and hopefully we can get off on a hike at some point. But, yeah, it's nice. The cidery here is like right down near the harbor, so it's walked outside. It's all air in my face. Can't beat it.
Right on. Might have to do one of those have a pint deals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get into that after the
for sure.
After the trivia. I want to ask about that and when's the next one because I love a pint.
We need to do a podcast from down here.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, we talked about that.
Yeah.
So it gets set up. Yeah. Is it flowing down there yet or what? You got cider? Getting made?
Yeah. So we have we're gonna release 6 tanks and we got 3 of the ciders done, and
Nice.
we have 3 left before Thursday. The ribbon cutting with I think like the mayor of Kodiak coming down to cut a ribbon. I won't be here. I'll be with the kids, but Gid and the rest of the crew here will be opening it up to Kodiak. They're all pretty pumped. We're getting 5 to 10 people a day stopping by to help. Like, they're like, hey, can we help you with something? I was like, sure.
Give me some cider.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. Can you run that and then grab me some food? So I got some trivia for you boys.
Hit it. Let's go.
Yeah,
These
let it
guys.
rip.
All right. Since I'm on an island, I got really interested in our Alaskan island, and I was really curious. Out of the biggest 5 islands in the United States, how many of them are in Alaska? And so, can you guys name 2 islands that are in Alaska that are in the top 5 in the United States and where they rank?
Kodiak number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Does that count?
Prince of Wales.
Ooh.
Right.
In the United
asking
States,
me?
though, where they rank?
I mean,
in the
I'm just
United
looking.
States.
And where do they rank as far as size wise?
Yeah, size-wise in the United States.
All right, go ahead with Kodiak. What you think they're?
What's the rank on that?
Dude, depends. Are you going acreage or total numbers, like miles of shoreline? Because I think miles of shoreline is number 1.
Oh, good.
Oh,
Let's do
wow.
let's do total size, like in terms of acreage or mileage.
Oh, wow. Shit.
So square mile. What are the 2 biggest islands in Alaska in terms of square mileage, and where they rank in terms of the United States?
We happen to have a map
I'm pointing to
behind us.
both of them right now.
I'm seeing 2 big islands on that map, but I can't quite read. I see Kodiak for sure.
That's gonna be number 1, right? Rank.
In the United States?
Ooh.
You got Hawaii, like the big island.
How's that looking on the map? It's not there. Damn it.
Chichagov. Actually, that island's pretty big too.
Yeah, I know.
Man, that's a good question.
Dude, you guys are right. He's good.
Yeah, dude, he's always pulls this shit. I'm like, bro, can we
Oh,
like,
that's Nunavak.
can we do like some kindergarten shit?
What is that one way up there?
This one or that one?
The top one.
Yeah.
That one is.
Well, you don't know?
I did. I was just making sure. Campbell and Savunga.
That's what I was going to say.
That's Campbell and Savunga, and then we have Nunavak Island,
Nunavik.
and then Chichikov, which was going to be my guess, which is the one that Sitka's on.
But it is.
Oh.
But as far as ranking the United States,
Yeah,
I know the
level,
answer because
dude.
Jack texted me, so I can't answer, but you guys can.
Oh, you already know the fucking answer to this?
Well, I was going to do the trivia, and I said I was just going to have him do it.
Oh, cool.
So he texted me
I like
the answer.
the call in though. That's pretty cool. I'm lost right now, man.
Well, just a ranking. Well, Kodiak is obviously the biggest for
Yeah.
Alaska, right? We
Right.
can agree on that.
Yep.
And then as far as ranking in
Well,
the United States,
here's
I
the
think
thing about-
Kodiak's number 1.
I do too.
Yeah, I do too. And it's weird because, like, technically, Kodiak is
what about
like
like
a series of
Manhattan? I mean, there's Long Island. There's some big
Hawaii.
islands. Hawaii.
Because, like, Kodiak is Kodiak, and then there's Fognak, and then there's Raspberry. So it's like,
Is that all?
Those are separate islands, though. It's not. We're talking about the island.
okay.
All right, throw a number out. Throw
I got
rank.
Kodiak
I think-
one.
You got Kodiak number 1?
I'm just going to roll with that. Like, it
Okay.
just seems obvious.
Yep.
Same.
Same? What do you say? Same? They all think Kodiak number 1, Jack.
All right.
Well, we got
And
2,
then
though.
what's the-
Yeah.
all right. And so, what's the second biggest island, and how's it ranked in the United States?
I had,
I think
Oh,
you're right,
second
Jim.
biggest in Alaska?
I had Prince of
In
Wales,
Alaska.
but now I'm not so sure.
I'm
Actually,
going
yeah. I am going-
Chichikov.
Yeah, Tichikov.
Chichikov?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my. I didn't know the answer to that.
Is Chichikov that one?
Yeah, that's like Sitka.
This right here?
Yeah.
Okay, and I said
Prince of Wales. That's pretty big too.
yeah, I know. It's kind of like it's all scattered out, though. I can't tell.
We'll go with that since we went with Chichikov.
Chichikov is ranked number 4.
There you go.
Where does everyone else have their islands ranked?
Where does what?
We all agree on the Kodiak 1. I think that's like a consensus, right?
And then Chichikov, I'm going to say 7.
Ooh.
Is it 4, 7, 5?
5.
See?
4.
There it is.
What, all right, Jackie, what is it?
Wales 4.
All right. So the biggest island in the United States is Hawaii.
Oh, damn it.
Motherfucker.
The second biggest island in the United States is Kodiak.
Oh.
The third biggest, which was actually really surprising to me, is Puerto Rico.
Oh, come
on. And the fourth biggest, which is the one that, is our second part of this, is Prince of Wales.
Oh. See, I always fall ass backwards into being kind of right.
You guys had it nailed, and then you guys backed out of it. You're looking at a map.
Yeah, we're cheating.
Probably not,
Yeah, well, it's still my back. So I did throw out Prince of Wales 4, just random.
That's it. That was a great
Just intrinsically
clutch.
So do I win some of these packaroons or what?
Yep, you get some packaroons.
Okay.
You win a trip to Kodiak.
Perfect. I got an elk tag this fall.
I'll be a taste tester.
Yeah.
What flavors you bring?
Snickerdoodle and black espresso.
Oh, my favorite.
I haven't had Snickerdoodle yet.
I don't think I have either.
You got to get it in you.
Is that fairly new?
Yeah.
It's brand new. Yeah.
Brand new.
Yep.
Oh, that was real good. Yeah, you got to throw some of that rainbow chard in there.
Oh, yeah. We have a talk. We have a talk to have.
All right. So my third question is going to be the most fun, but we're going to get to the second one here. So sticking on islands, we said Kodiak is the biggest island in Alaska, second biggest in the United States. Where does it sit in the ranking for the world?
Oh, shit.
Ooh, Kodiak for the world?
It's above my pay grade, boys.
We don't have the world map. We don't have the world map.
Do not have a globe in our studio.
Spin the globe.
Man, Kodiak's big and Hawaii's big.
Tasmania's big.
Madagascar's big.
Australia's huge.
That's so big it's a continent.
So big it disqualified itself.
So does Antarctica? I mean, that fucking thing's an island, right?
I'm gonna go with 9. I'm gonna go with number 9. That's my guess.
All right, Daniel's going 9. Where are you going, Brandon?
What was the question again?
In the world, size of the world, Kodiak.
Kodiak's ranked in the world. Okay,
for mileage, square mileage.
In the world is ranked 83rd. Watch, fuckers! It's gonna be close.
Yeah.
What is it, Jack?
No.
Everyone has to answer.
No, Brad's gonna.
I'm really in a hurry to know.
I'm gonna say 17.
Dude, I'm gonna do the Price is Right thing and just.
I said 9.
$1.
8. Okay.
8. All right.
Is it closest without going over?
Come on, 83.
Yeah, it's Price is Right style.
Jack?
Hold on, he didn't. Did you guess? No, Brad didn't say a number yet.
Yeah, he said 17.
Dave said 8.
I said 8.
Or Dave said 8. Okay.
Oh, okay. Everyone got it. All right. Brandon, you're so close. You went over, man. 79.
What?
I'm telling you guys. I got a gift. I have got a gift.
Dude, you just got to shout out the first thing you think.
It's
man.
just
you were
vomit
on
it
a
out.
rally when you were doing that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Go big or go home.
After this third question, you have 5 seconds to answer.
I am the dumbest, smartest guy in the room.
So this is for me like the best question. So because I would have never. Anyway, so when a brown bear cub is born, how many times the size, their initial weight, do they grow when they become an adult?
32.
Up to how many times their size?
Oh, that was quick. 32, you said?
So,
Go with 32.
32 times from their initial popping out.
Yeah, their initial birth weight. What's their, how many multiples to their, full grown weight?
Is this like a general black or brown bear? Is this a Kodiak brown bear? Is this a Alaska Peninsula brown bear?
Wait, your information so specific?
What are we talking about here?
Up to how many times can they grow from their birth
There
weight?
you go.
600.
600 times. Okay, so
Dude, I want to unlock my answer.
No, you're seated.
Oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say, man. Let me do some math real quick.
I should have said 3.
you guys better figure it out. I'm gonna Google this shit in a second.
I'm gonna say
Put your phones
700.
away, boys. I'm not there to watch.
I'm gonna say 700.
Because they come out pretty small, like really tiny.
Yeah, maybe like a couple pounds.
Yeah, I'm thinking like a pound or two, and then it grows to like
How much?
I don't know, what's an
800
average.
pounds.
Yeah, what's an average brown bear weigh?
Oh,
like,
average. I don't know.
I'm gonna say like
to,
500.
Up to.
That'd be 1,000-pound bear.
No,
So
that's
what's the big bear? Up
Two,
to.
like,
So
yeah,
that's like your
like a
high
ton.
end.
oh okay. Because like I'd say like if I'm just guessing, full vomit again, like an average brown bear average is probably like 500 or 600 pounds.
Oh, average. you
Right,
think?
like a huge one being like a
Are you
1,500
talking
pounder.
Kenai? Or are you talking?
No, and then you got like like a average size.
Yeah.
950 times.
billions and billions.
Billions. I'm sticking with 950.
All right, Jackie. What is it?
All right. So a brown bear cub averages 1.5 pounds in the day. And they
call,
can
man.
grow up to 1,500 pounds. Nice saying earlier, Brandon. You said 1,500. So 1,000 times bigger.
Oh, I got it close.
950.
Oh,
Oh yeah, you got it. I said, yeah, you got it. You're right.
Dave over here with 32.
I didn't understand the question.
Don't let this
You
guy
have to
shoot a
process
trophy
the
bear.
information. So
I'm telling
hey,
you, my mind was fucking blown when
Yeah,
I read
that's
that.
crazy.
You know? I
It's a
was
big
like,
number.
holy shit. Because, like, we're born at, like, 8 pounds, and we grow to, like, 180, so 60 times bigger. But these fuckers are growing 1,000 times bigger. I was like, I gotta eat more salmon.
Damn.
you guys just up my rank, man.
That's
Dave,
it.
you weren't
told you.
lying,
I
dude.
did, I
I'm
told you.
fucking full champ, dude. Damn.
Well
hey,
done.
Hey, can I get a Kodiak double shovel hat, Jack, please?
Yeah. We'll get you one. You just get down here. Come support our business.
I'll be there in October, man. You know I'll be there. Tell
That's
Casey
right,
and them
dude.
boys get the party ready, man. We're coming.
I think it'll be ready. I'll be
Hopefully by
ensuring that
November.
over this next 3 days.
I'll be ready.
All right.
All right, Jackie. Thanks for the trivia.
See you, Jack.
Yeah. Have fun, boys. I miss you guys and wish I could be there, but later.
Later.
Safe travels, bro.
All right, that was nice.
See, man, I got it, boys.
Dude,
Get
yeah.
this guy on.
Somehow.
Get this guy on Jeopardy.
I know. I just stumble ass backwards right into that money.
Into
Man.
there.
You're on the heater.
I'm telling you.
Let's talk about the pint deal. What I had a note here on it. What do you guys call it? Have a pint?
Pint night.
Pint night?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's that entail?
It's usually
Kind of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, like same thing, right? So we did one this year after draw results, but I'll talk about like the like a thing that Brad and I think is going to be a really exciting thing to do
Is this
next
an
year.
annual thing?
Well, I mean, we do them like pretty frequently.
We
Okay.
we
Quarterly, huh?
if
I wanna
not
come.
more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Can I
So
come?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Everybody's
Insiders.
invited.
That's the point. Yeah.
You guys just
Shit,
choose
yeah.
a spot and
Yeah.
and just let
Yeah.
the folks know.
What's really, really cool is we'll I mean, we don't have like really deep pockets. And so we'll contact a brewery and just say, hey, we're going to try and bring some people to you. Are you willing to let us like set up a table and just like maybe carve off a corner for 2 hours or 3 hours of the night or the evening, and just have some people buy your beer. And certain breweries will actually like go one step farther and say like, yeah, we'll donate $1 for every pint that's bought, which is really cool. And even if that's not the case, it's not always feasible for like new breweries, and that's totally fine. Yeah. But it's an opportunity for members to get together because, as Dave mentioned earlier, the state's so freaking big. Like, you don't always get to see the other members, or you may never meet the other members versus somewhere like North Carolina or something like
right.
that.
And some of the pint nights have a they're just like, let's get together. It's been a while. Let's go have a beer together. And some of them are organized around like a specific event. Like we're gonna do a trifecta event this late winter, where we're gonna do a pint night organized around submitting draw applications, because everybody knows a guy that's like, dude, I totally forgot, man, and I just beefed it. Or another thing that that BHA is doing specifically through the AFI program is educating adult onset hunters or people that are new to Alaska. So like, hey, if you're a BHA member or not, and you're just interested in what we do, come out to this pint night and bring your laptop, and we're going to sit down and do stuff, because we all know a guy who drew a draw tag that
he has no idea what he got himself into.
Probably shouldn't have. That was $6 wasted.
I've been there.
So
would you guys come with me to this spot?
Yeah. So then the second event, right? So that'd be the first event. Yes. Or a hunt license I could borrow. Those are transferable, right? The second event would be doing a draw result pint night. So like everybody get together on draw result nights, and if you want, we even talked about doing like don't check your crap, honor system. We'll have somebody in the local area check it for everybody, because you can look everybody's crap up, right?
Oh, that's
and then do like envelope thing, like red carpet thing, and Brad's not the father type deal.
Squeaked by again.
Oh, thank God.
So like a hunter reveal,
right? And then the third,
it's camo that comes out of the thing.
Right. We don't know what it is. It's the third one would be like more organized around like, okay, I didn't draw a tag, and we've been calling this one "What If," and I think that Brad and I are the most passionate about this one. Doing a like maybe a little bit more mellow of a pint night, and like everybody that like had high expectations of their draw tag or forgot to put their draw applications in, and now doesn't have anything and are doing registration hunt.
Plan B.
Right. Yep. So yeah. So like what now? Like I didn't draw anything. Now what do I do? And getting some people together out there that have done registration hunts that maybe are like less popular. Getting people like creating some awareness around some like maybe remote access stuff, like just showing people that like if we, and it does a couple different things. It takes maybe a little bit of heat off the stuff that's easy and gets people out doing stuff that's accessible, but maybe you're just like unaware of like how accessible it is. That's probably gonna maybe rub a few people the wrong way. Like, no, I like having the spot all to myself. It's just me and this 1,000 acres.
Well, you're just kind of spreading them out versus everyone's at Eureka, or whatever.
Unit 13, everybody
like,
goes.
Yeah, just like how do you have a traffic jam hunting a wilderness area? It's crazy.
Well, like one of the things that like makes me twitch a little bit, which I will say, like I grew up hunting in Colorado, but for probably 10 to 12 years of my life, I didn't hunt. And then when I moved to Alaska, I picked it up by myself again. But one of the twitches that I get is just thinking about somebody's first hunting experience being a Denali Highway caribou. And I'm like, oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it's not what it's supposed to be.
That is not the feel, like that is not attractive. That is not what you want to like. I mean, maybe it is for the lucky few that have an excellent hunt, but like the dust and the everything, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. So
92-degree hunting caribou like we did last year.
Yeah.
Just three blown tires on the trailer.
Yeah. I got my first caribou ever up there. It was like 80 something degrees September. Beautiful day. And actually an excellent hunt. It took me 45 minutes to find a caribou.
Yeah.
But like hot, I hadn't processed an animal in 12 years.
Did you have a head net?
No.
Ooh.
No head net. I had read about the citric acid spray, which was actually very helpful, but like I was freaking out because I hadn't processed an animal in 12 years, and even then I never quartered one. We always just hooked it up to a 4-wheeler and drug it the hell out of there, you know what I mean? And so then it was like, well, now I don't know what I'm doing. And then getting it back, we threw it in the camper, but we forgot to close all the windows on the camper. And we drove the Denali Highway, and when we got back,
the dust got in
yeah,
there.
just covered in dirt, you know? So, like, those sorts of things we can maybe help somebody else fucking avoid. Right. You know? It's a fucking pain in the ass, man.
So this is hunting in Alaska.
Yeah. Breakfast sausage.
Man, well, I definitely want to go to
gritty.
The next pint night. That sounds
really,
great.
really fun. When's you guys' next scheduled pint night, or are they?
They're a bit random, but we don't have one scheduled currently.
Okay.
We got a project coming up though.
What do you got?
Fuller Lakes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuller Lakes. Where's that? I know that.
Yeah,
Fuller
down on
Lakes.
the peninsula. Doing some like trail reconstruction improvement. It's probably going to turn into an overnight backpacking trip. That's what it looks like. So it's
that
still
sounds
kind of
really fun.
Dude, yeah, for sure. So just go out, like do some like good, honest, like hardworking stuff during the day. Put some calluses on your hands, and then
Isn't Fuller Lakes
at
in
night.
the burn? Is that like where the
I'm
new
pretty
burn
sure
is?
it got scorched. Yeah,
In the Skilac area where you're going south left, and you got like hike up in there. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, you might find.
Are you
somewhere else,
asking?
too.
Well, I was going to say, are you asking if there's going to be mushrooms? And the answer is not if it doesn't rain ever.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, you just bring your own.
Yeah.
As our
This
boy
guy.
Big K would say, powder.
Yeah. Oh.
Grind it.
So the plan is there to just
fungi.
kind of fix it up, spruce it up, get it.
Yeah. Man, I'm drawing a blank too. I can't remember like who we're partnering up for that one. Is that the?
Is it all messed up from the burn? Is there like trees down, and you guys are gonna kind of reopen the path, or you're still figuring
There's
that
lots
out?
of people hiking it, so it's clearly open.
Yeah, I think it's more just like just generally becoming more disheveled and
It's a
just needs
reconstruction
attention.
project,
Okay.
so just really trying to improve it.
Okay.
Yep.
How many current members are there in BHA Alaska?
Almost 600.
600.
Yeah.
I'm one.
There should be a lot more.
So
we should have a lot more.
Well, can I talk about that real
Yeah.
quick? Okay, so
of course
this
you
is
can.
probably a good time to like introduce something that's pretty new to BHA in general and pretty new to Alaska, which is the Armed Forces Initiative. So not that long ago, BHA kind of recognized a user group and a specific demographic that is or was pretty widely recognized like in the outdoor community, but maybe not recognized in BHA's ranks specifically. So they decided to target military folks. A lot of people join the military because they grew up like camping, shooting guns, being outside, doing stuff like that, right? And they were like, man, I could like avoid college for a couple of years, or you know, like going to work like in a steel mill. That's why I enlisted. And what you don't bargain for is the fact that you are going to get displaced from hunting and fishing. It's like spraying WD-40 into a bucket of water. Like they just fight each other. I mean, for no good reason. But then when you really put it under the microscope, you start to see different things. There's quite a few barriers to entry for people when you move to a new area. What is the first thing that you do, right? Is you start to take in everything around you. I was like, dude, like I'm going to tear it up here, right? I'm going to shoot the biggest buck, kill the biggest bull, get all the spring turkeys, like catch all the fish. And then you're like, but I need to make sure, you know, that I'm doing it responsibly, like and following regulations. And then you grab like a different, especially if you grew up in one state your whole life, you grab a hunting regulation and you're like, dude, there's no way. Between my statuses,
It's daunting.
I have a brand new career, right, and an organization that has zero tolerance for failure, and I still have to learn my job.
19 years old.
You're very young. You're away from home a lot of times for the first time, and you have all these things to do, like all these expectations of the Defense Department that are placed on you rightfully, because we want to be, you know, consummate professionals in what we do as a military organization. That there's very little time to go like learn all the things that you have to do to learn. So the time that you do have to recreate, you're like, I can't do it because I didn't spend the 15-minute increments that I had like over the course of the last 2 or 3 months to learn what I'm allowed to do legally. So now that I have a couple of days of leave that I can take, I guess I'll just go do something else instead. So this is so many people's story, not only like so many other people, like my personal testament to like, you know, what happened with me as a young kid leaving home for the first time. Like, I mean, not all game lands or not all public lands are exactly the same. You know, things are different.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's one primary barrier to entry. The other one is like, it can be intimidating. Like, imagine if you grew up hunting nothing but private ranches in Texas, right? Shooting deer out of a tin house. Texas guys. And you come to Alaska and you're like, dude, look how big their deer are. Like these gigantic moose. You're like, I want to shoot one of those, right? Like that's what I want to go hunt. Like I want to go kill a moose. And then you realize how much different like public land is, what competition for area looks like, you know, what it looks like to have like a highly regulated species. You hear like about an emergency order and you're like, the season can close like at will, you know, based on conservation strategies. It just becomes daunting. It becomes very intimidating for folks.
The gear?
Yeah. Look, the thing.
No, just all the rules and the way.
No, I mean, just
navigating.
I just think about like some of the military guys I've run into on a trail, and it's like, whoa, dude, you don't got enough shit.
Dude, you have like, where's the rest of your stuff?
Yeah, I'm like, your four-wheeler's so bare. Like, you don't have anything. Like,
I got an MRE in the back.
I got a meat wagon fucking full of gear. And I'm like, good luck, brother.
Dude,
like,
so
you know?
That's a very real thing. And some of them recognize that even though, and they're like, dude, I just like can't afford to do it, right? But some of it is that like, they just think they need stuff that they don't need too, right?
Yeah,
so you can like, you're like kind of over embellishing the need for stuff and under embellishing the need for other things. So you get into all these things and like eventually it just ends up scrambling the eggs and you're just like, I'm just not going to go hunt anymore. I mean, I'll wait. I'm going to get out in a couple years, or my next duty station will be in a better place, or even better yet, like I got a buddy, right? And he's going to show me the ropes, and then like he gets deployed. So the idea with AFI is like anytime you PCS or do a permanent change of station in the military, you're received by a group of people that are ready to show you how to get your job done and be an effective contributing member of the team that you're assigned to. That's just what happens. We're like, why can't we get a bunch of people that are BHA members that are familiar with military structure to recreate that in a hunting and fishing capacity?
Gotcha.
So that's really one of the biggest things is like, so when you come to Alaska and you're a BHA member and then you re-affiliate with the installation club at J-Bear, now you belong in a group of people that also like all the same stuff as you, and that have some experience, and some of it, you know, there's a range of experience there, but there's some experience there, but you're immediately like tuned into like, well, what conservation goals is Alaska up against? What public land advocacy challenges is BHA facing in Alaska? How can I get out there and like enjoy the experience that Alaska has to offer for myself?
And not starting from zero,
and not having to figure it out on your own, and realizing that like for as long as dudes have been killing animals and eating them, like they've been doing it together. Hunting is a communal thing. There's nomadic peoples for sure, but those nomadic peoples traveled in groups, right? Humans are pack hunters. It's just like sorry, Remy Warren, the solo hunter, like, and I love what he does. Like all that stuff is awesome, but it kind of challenges really like what's at like most of our core, which is like getting outside with some dudes that have some things that are in common with you,
camaraderie too,
sharing an experience, right? Man. And that's the military is founded on that. That's what gets soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marine through combat. You know, is the idea that like they have people that are like that believe that what they're fighting for is just as valuable to them as it is to me.
That's great.
Yeah, man. There's like a whole bunch of opportunities for AFI stuff. It's all in its like fledgling infancy stages in Alaska. We have 3 clubs, one in Kodiak, ran by like good dude Ryan. Guy by the name of Mark is running the installation club at J-Bear, and Cody up at Wainwright and kind of handling the whole interior section. So the idea behind those clubs is they would support the agenda of the state chapter, but they would kind of operate uniquely on the installations, doing service projects. Like all the installations in Alaska have public land hunting. You can draw moose tag for Jay Bear. I mean, anybody can. You know, it's not just for military members. So, in my mind, that's public access, right? If anybody can draw that tag,
put in for a black bear every year.
Yeah, black bear too. You know, I as a matter of fact, I know a guy who drew the muzzleloader moose tag on Jay Bear this year. You know, it's a high success rate hunt. So it's pretty good.
Sweet.
Is BHA a nonprofit?
Yes. Yep.
Are you guys on the pick, click, give, and all that?
Nope.
Not yet.
Nope. Not at this juncture.
Okay. If someone wants to join, what's the best way for them to join?
Go to the webpage or the Facebook page that's going to take you to the webpage, or the Instagram account link to the Facebook page. But it's backcountryhunters.org.
Okay.
Annual memberships. I mean, they're very amenable. Like the prices are pretty good, and know that like all of those are donations basically.
I think I paid like $35.
$35 annually. There's a family membership. There's some lifetime memberships that are crazy good deals, like a Sky Talus 6900 Stone Glacier backpack. If you do a lifetime membership for like a G, I mean, and you're getting like,
you get the backpack with that?
You get the backpack with that.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like the price of the lifetime membership.
My girlfriend got she became a life member last year and got Weatherby shotgun 20 gauge. Yep.
Yeah,
that's quite a deal. That makes it only like $300.
Yeah,
yeah. So military members, it's $15 annually. So if you're if you're active duty, veteran, or military dependent, it's $15 annually. So
right on.
Yeah.
What about teachers?
I don't know.
I've been pushing like every time, every single time they're like, "Are you military or whatever?" I'm like, "What about teachers?"
Yeah.
We should be getting that too.
Everybody gives you the same look.
Yeah, they're like, "Well, we should," but
no, that's a good point. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Let me get back to you on that.
Yeah, full price.
Yep.
No, I met you guys at the Great Alaska Sportsman Show this year. Great booth, great setup. You guys were like, man, I walked up and I'm like, what? Oh, I've heard of it. Boom, hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, get a t-shirt. I'm like, fucking A. Get on the podcast. I think. Do you feel like I reached out to you guys? You haven't responded. I text Daniel when I walked out the door. I'm like, yo, these fucking guys are trying to get a hold of us and get them on the fucking podcast. Let's go. That's awesome. And here we are, man. Yeah, it's perfect.
So when people sign up, is the money basically going towards just keeping the operation moving? And
yeah, so some of it goes there's obviously with like any 501, it's like highly tracked, but there's different pots of money. So some of that stuff is going to support the national headquarters and overall BHA agendas, and some of it is going to support local chapter initiatives. Local chapter stuff is obviously things that we're talking about today, like Ambler, Anwar, West Susitna Access, Tongass, Pebble, all those things. Okay. BHA money is used for that stuff like that. But then, the overarching broad stroke picture of BHA is also funded through like kickbacks through the state chapters. So
okay,
so like the T-shirt you bought helps us pay for the booth that you saw us at.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you guys hitting up a lot of shows when you can? Matsu, Sportsman, Sheep Stuff, like
yeah.
A
lot of we're trying to do all the ones we can. We have to look at like, does it align with the BHA's core values and the goals and the things like that, right? So some things do, but some things are like very on brand, so to speak, with like the outdoor industry, but maybe don't necessarily align specifically with what we're doing.
You're not whoring out to everything,
right?
Good way to put it, Brandon.
Trying to maintain our virtue here.
But you've got
unfiltered, boys, unfiltered.
Dave's been really working hard on getting stuff set up for the air show.
Thanks, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
So you guys, anybody that goes to the air show, which is expected to be huge
this
year.
What's the date on that? June something, right?
No, last week of July.
Yeah.
Okay, air show.
Yeah, right. 29 or I think 30 and how many days are there in July? It's the last two.
31.
Last week of July.
30th, 31st.
Yeah, 30 and 31
Okay.
July. Yeah.
Man, I need a hot dog stand out there.
Dude, for sure.
We did it years ago. It was insane.
Dude, my buddy told me they sold T-shirts like different like NPO. They sold $10,000 worth of T-shirts.
Oh yeah,
2 days.
That's insane out there.
$10,000 in merch in 2 days is crazy.
Yeah,
that is crazy. You better have a lot of shit,
dude, for sure.
Yeah, that is really good. What's the biggest chapter?
Montana. I don't know, maybe.
So the headquarters is in Missoula. Yeah. So I bet Montana's got a big group. I don't know. I would say
Texas could probably be big.
Yeah, I was thinking Texas.
It's really interesting because a lot of the allure is mountain hunting, right? And you don't really have a lot of that in the eastern states. But just last week was the annual, they call it the BHA rendezvous in Missoula, and that's where all the chapters get together.
I was just going to ask about that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good time.
It is, and this is the first time in a few years that I haven't been able to make it, but when you interact with the chapters from the eastern states, it's kind of intimidating because they're like bros. Like everybody knows each other, and like they are fired up. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, because they do have all these public land issues that they like actively just have to be on top of, and they're all dealing with together. So it's a really good question.
Yeah, I talk to the PA guys, like frequently, or PA members, just because, I was born and raised in Pennsylvania and grew up hunting and fishing in Pennsylvania, and BHA's had some been a part of some pretty big wins out there. Like when I grew up, like you didn't even talk about hunting on Sundays because it was like there was a strict ban on Sunday hunting.
That's
BHA
crazy.
was like one of the organizations that was really just beating the crap out of this agenda to get some Sunday hunting on the docket.
Was that a religious?
Now it started out that way. I mean, you look at like demographics in Pennsylvania. There's a lot of like Pennsylvania Dutch and
Quaker stuff.
And,
yeah. Okay, I thought that was what, but I wasn't sure.
Right. So there's Sunday hunting thing was like a huge thing. You could I thought it was weird because you could hunt coyotes and crows on Sunday.
What?
Oh,
like,
really?
who's doing that? So of course, as a kid, I'm like, dude, I need to get a crow gun. A
crow gun?
Dude, I'm out there just shooting a 22 straight up in the air. Like, that's not good.
What do you harvest and eat crow?
Yeah, if you can shoot one with a 22 flying at like 200 feet, dude, I think you should eat it, but I was never successful.
Yeah, I just, is it good? I mean,
I don't know. But I mean, there's a whole saying around it, and it's not a good saying, like about eating crow.
Yeah, it can't be good.
Yeah.
No shit.
But like the thing would be that like you would get an owl decoy, and then you'd get somebody.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, eating crow.
Yeah. So you get like an owl decoy, and you get somebody like shimmy up to the top of a tree and put an owl decoy up there, and then like three dudes like start wailing on crow calls, just wah 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 wah. And I mean, apparently in nature, owls and crows like just fight like crazy. It's the UFC of nature. And it like rarely worked, but like every once in a while, when we come in, I'm like, "What are these idiots doing?" They're like, "Oh man, they're shooting at me. I'm leaving." But I mean, that's what you could do on Sunday. So
okay.
So if you're like a high school age kid, which I was until I joined the military,
or you're not religious,
you could hunt on Saturday, and they're like, that was it.
Yeah.
Or skip school, which we did like.
Man,
like that was another, like skipping school was a religion to go hunting specifically.
Right.
Yeah.
Spring turkey season, like dude, winter was too long.
Fridays,
for me to be
I'm
going to
out of
school.
here.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Sure. Podcast and Blast, is that BHA's like podcast that they host themselves? Do they go and interview other chapter members, or how's that pretty much?
Chapter members, like industry folks, conservation folks. They might even have been like, I don't know if like necessarily political figures, but people with political orientation.
There. Gosh dang it, what is his name? Who runs it?
Lantani?
No.
Or, who runs the podcast?
Who runs the podcast? Sorry, I should know this. Lantani is the CEO.
I could look it up. Like one of the hosts?
The host is, I feel like it also starts with an L.
I'll look it up real quick.
Larry?
And then
it's a good guess.
If you could like splice it in there, like the Brad and I didn't completely splice
yeah, maybe. Gosh dang it.
Hal Herring?
Hal Herring. That was not an L. Hal. There we go. Hal Herring. He's incredibly intelligent. This guy is so versed. He actually interviewed Roman Dial recently. Regarding the sheep. Something, I forget what it was. Something about doll sheep up here.
Unit 26.
Yeah, exactly. And so he doesn't just interview BHA specific people. He, again, going back to more of the science-based things. He just has some very, very intelligent conversations.
Yeah, definitely check that out.
Yep.
Yeah, totally.
The other thing I wanted to ask was, I guess my final question is, what are the top 3 goals for BHA in Alaska? Let's say within like the next few years.
That's a good question.
I can tell you some of the goals for the AFI program, and I think some of those actually transfer over. Bigger user base. We haven't captured enough of the demographic of users in Alaska. I don't think we've even captured their attention, to tell you the truth. The 3 R's, I think, are a goal in Alaska: recruitment, retention, and retaining people. Are certainly that's a goal. It's going to be a revolving goal. Like as things happen, you're going to really kind of put your foot on the gas pedal for different elements of those 3 R's. And sometimes you're gonna back off because something else is going to come up that's way more important. Like we need to pull back from doing recruiting for new advocates and just really kind of focus on driving the hammer or the wedge in between, putting in a road somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's that's a big goal. To have a fully, and the next one is kind of a twofold thing, but to have a really effective functioning collegiate program, which we didn't really talk about today.
Oh, wow.
Essentially like the AFI program, but college kids are going through the same thing. You know what I mean? You're away from home, all the same stuff the military guys are going through, except for you don't have a paying job like you do in the military. So collegiate programs are huge, and we have 2 major universities here, between UAF and UAA. A bunch of kids that either came to Alaska and thought this is how I can do what my parents wanted me to do, but also do what I want to do too. Which is go hunting and fishing or stay in Alaska. So bolstering the AFI program and the collegiate program. And then I think just a general awareness that BHA is out there pushing issues, and not only just pushing issues, but BHA is inviting people to the table or willing to come to yours. We want everybody being the entire development industry, the conservation industry, the fisheries ecology industry, the outdoor education industry, all these different subsets of kind of what make up everything that encompasses recreating outside. To know that we want to weigh in, and we want to not just have a voice and weigh in, but we want to bring something too. We want to bring a group of people that are passionate and care about the future of public lands, and show you what we think that looks like when it's wagered against whatever your initiative is. And then if there's a way for us to help, if there's a project or an improvement or a bill that needs looked at, or maybe we need to form a petition. I mean, BHA is really good about passing the hat and getting some signatures on paper and just letting people know, letting politicians know, and exactly what the folks that are aware of these situations, kind of think and feel about certain things. So, that would be the third thing. It's just letting everybody know that BHA's here. It's a fully functional operation in Alaska. It's a chapter that's doing well and wants to be involved in everything that we possibly can be. If it's appropriate for us to be at the table, we don't want that chair to be empty. We want somebody in it and somebody out there talking about public land advocacy from a non-emotional, science-based, conservation direct position.
Great. I love it.
Well said.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys coming in and chatting with us about all the info. And if there's any listeners out there, you definitely got to go to backcountryhunters.org. Sign up. Let's get those numbers up. You said 600. Man, it should be 6,000.
Dude, no kidding.
We're going to boost that up. And then the next pint night, you can definitely count us, Alaska Wild Project, to come in over there and help you guys out.
Yeah, let us know, man.
Whatever we can do to pump it up and get the numbers out there, because you guys, I mean, are standing for the same thing that we are, and a lot of our listeners are as well. So thank you for coming in, Dave and Brad. Thank you for all that you guys are doing. And any last comments or anything?
No, man, I appreciate everything you guys are doing. I mean, I love when people are putting their neck out there to make a difference. You know, there's like a lot of people want to talk about shit, or, well, we should do this or we should do that.
Or complain.
Or talk shit or point fingers or they want to voice their opinion on how things could be done, but then that's as far as they go.
Yeah.
But you guys are actually part of a solution, a forward-thinking, proactive approach at making something better for the future of an organization, people, a culture, right? For hunting, angling, public access. It's funny, I was wearing this T-shirt this weekend. I washed it though, by the way. But
so that is me.
Yeah.
Looks like you dried it.
No, it's already tight. I was like, oh, this must be for military boys. Yeah. Put this thing on about 10 years ago. I'd have fit in a lot better. My wife's like, public landowner, huh? I was like, dude, these guys are badass. So she's like, well, the T-shirt looks nice. And so I turned around and show her. But no, man, I mean, you guys are making a difference for the culture of hunting, fishing, what we all want to preserve and have for generations moving forward. And I thank you guys for what you're doing. Thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
And what you've done and what you want to do for the future servicemen.
Yeah.
And I think, there's a lot of work to be done. We're talking 600 members. That's not a lot, but
Right.
it's a good start. Is that right? I mean, I think it's a good start, and there's a lot of people. Give it more time that are gonna buy into this.
Yeah, if you were to go pull Alaska demographics, bounce up and down, if you were to pull all of them, it's more than the ratio that we have to members that actually go out and hunt and fish or just do anything on public land.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be hunting and fishing.
Right. Yep.
I mean, that's the whole thing. It's the culmination of all these people who enjoy public lands that have to come together as a group.
Yeah, which is everyone, which is all of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mountain bikers, hikers, hunters, fishermen, anybody that recreates and loves accessing public lands and enjoying the fruits of what it gives you is what it's all about.
Dude, let's face it. If you didn't enjoy doing something on public land, you wouldn't live here. You would move because it would otherwise, you wouldn't be like, oh, dude, this is awesome, man. I really enjoy seasonal affective disorder and long winters and the darkness is something that I look forward to. This is not something people are saying.
No,
it's I live here because the things that I might not favor are the things that pave way for the things that I absolutely probably couldn't live without. Which is being able to go do all the stuff that we like to do. So.
Yep.
And we're spoiled, and if we want to stay spoiled, we need to just go ahead and take charge. And
that's what we put on the next shirt. Stay spoiled.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, when you think about you were talking about what Delaware and Hawaii were the only ones that don't have it, and I started thinking about Jersey and New Hampshire, these tiny little there's no public land on those little tiny areas. I mean, there is.
Sure.
But I'm just saying it's minimal. And then you look at Alaska and it's there's a lot on that plot of land. Yeah. So we are spoiled.
Our public
land. And it really this kind of woke me up. Sure. Honestly, when I think about living here, growing up here, being raised here, just driving up the highway 80 miles and popping off and an open wilderness. And I grew up with it. I take it for granted. I'm going to raise my hand and tell you right now, I take that for granted.
Sure.
I don't think of it as could it get taken away? Could it be limited? It's just always been here. But there's not a lot of people in this country that get to enjoy what we get to enjoy. So I've a newfound appreciation. I mean that wholeheartedly. A newfound appreciation for the public lands that we have here. And I can tell you, when I breathe the fresh air and put my hand in a stream or walk a trail or a game trail, which is the coolest trail, I think I'm going to appreciate it a lot more because it's something not a lot of people get to enjoy the way we do.
That's awesome.
But thanks for what you guys are doing, man. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys are good dudes.
Thank you guys.
Stand for a good cause and BHA, baby.
Yep. BHA.
Keep it going.
BHA. Thank you for listening, Alaska. Stay wild and no more surface pooping.
You remember my speaking to you of what I call your overcautiousness. Are you not overcautious when you assume that you cannot do what the enemy is constantly doing?
The Alaska Wild Project podcast is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Barney's Sports Chalet, supplying hunters with the best hand-selected gear since 1963. The exclusive home of frontier gear built for the rugged Alaskan terrain. Your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Visit Barney's today at 906 West Northern Lights.
Arbor Digital, the forefront of digital assets, cryptocurrencies, and wealth management, providing a low-cost, research-based investment strategy for Alaskans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Visit acminc.com today to put your money to work.
Tailored Restoration 24-hour emergency home services, helping Alaskans restore their dreams since 1972. Services include fire, water, mold, post-emergency cleaning, repair, and remodeling. Give them a call in Anchorage, Eagle River, Matsu, or Fairbanks. Hit them up at tailoredrestorationalaska.com.
Total Truck and Alaska Overlander, Alaska's premier supplier for custom automotive accessories and overlanding products, providing all-inclusive rental vehicles and trailers custom outfitted to explore the Alaskan backcountry with a unique and convenient traveling experience.
Serrano's Mexican Grill, 2 locations, one on Tudor, one on Northern Lights. The Northern Lights location has their new tequila bar. Check it out. Also see their daily specials at serranosmexicangrill.com.
TheTreehouseAK.com, located at 341 Boniface Parkway, Alaska's own and grown cannabis and CBD store. Ask the bud tender what the strain of the day is to get your 10% off. The Treehouse, where the culture lives.
The Connoisseur Lounge, Alaska's premier locally owned and operated cannabis retailer, located in the heart of Palmer, Alaska. Their cultivated products include Snowcap Romance, Aurora Haze, Super Glue, and much more. Find them at theconnoisseurlounge.net.
AKO Farms, located in Sitka, Alaska, built from the ground up with concentrates as their single motivation, with exclusive products such as their sugar wax, full spectrum diamond sauce carts, and more. Ask your local bud tender about AKO. Marijuana has intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming and addictive. Marijuana impairs concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence. There are health risks associated with consumption of marijuana. For the use of only by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children, and marijuana should not be used by women who are pregnant or breastfeeding.
The Bait Shack, located on Ship Creek upstream of the bridge. Can't miss the bright red shack. They are the go-to fishing gear rental and guide service on Ship Creek. Tight lines and fish on. Come hook into the action with them. Hit them up at thebaitshackak.com.
Anchortown Dogs, located on 4th Avenue across from the old 4th Avenue Theater. Look for the blue and gold umbrella. From reindeer dogs to bomb euros, they've got you covered. Anchortown Dogs, your local gourmet hot dog and sausage cart.
Crude Magazine, Alaska-based media outlet using the last frontier as a springboard to discover larger truths about the cultures of our great state. Read more at crudemag.com.
Lawn Pro AK, Alaska's year-round professional property maintenance team. Services include snow and ice management, weekly lawn care, and more. Get your free estimate today at lawnproak.com.
Double Shovel Cider Company, located off of Arctic and 58th. Handcrafted Alaskan-made colonial ciders. They also have a tap room downtown on the corner of 5th and E. Stop by today and taste an award-winning cider.
Lady with a Plan, your own Alaska event planner. From scouting the perfect location to planning the tiniest details, specializing in event management and production for intimate social gatherings. Find Lady with a Plan on Instagram.
Should you not claim to be at least his equal in prowess and act upon the claim? I say try. If we never try, we shall never succeed. This proposition is a simple truth, and it's too important to be lost sight of for a moment. If we we cannot beat the enemy where he now is, we never can. It is all easy if our troops march as well as the enemy, and it is unmanly to say they cannot do it.